again, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday night on 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Barely There podcast, and it's a warm one. We got some storms rolling in that came through. We got some more expected. God is unleashing his fury as the Bears are unleashing some fury in OTAs. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to revisit Jaylon Johnson. And Coach said he's going to spend more time in the defensive room this year. Does he trust Dennis Allen? I still think so. But we're going to talk about it right after this.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars aligned. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot-town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the Southside parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago's.
Woohoo! It's Wednesday. It's hump day. There's only 2 days left in the work week. What do you know? And only 1 day left in OTAs until we don't see the Bears again until the end of July. That kind of sucks. But it is what it is. We still got some summer to enjoy before we get to the gridiron every Sunday. How's it going, boys?
It's going good, dude. I took tomorrow and Friday off because I'm going up to the Gomers this weekend. So my work week is over. I'm feeling great. How about you, Kyle?
I'm good. I'm not that good. I have to work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I'm doing good, man. Ready to talk some football.
Yeah, and Erica, the Cubs do suck. And yesterday it was kind of batting practice for the Rockies. And, Colin Ray handed the ball to Shutter today and said, hey, your turn. Let's see. How many home runs does he give up today, Kyle? How many? In Colorado?
I say 3.
3? 3. I like that number. I'll go with 3. The Cubs beat the Rockies today.
Sean, the Cubs ain't gonna beat anybody. They can't beat anybody. I know Sean doesn't want to talk about it, but that was an exciting game for the Southsiders yesterday, man.
Yeah, fuck the White Sox. But anyways, I will say there is one team in first place in Chicago right now, and it's not the Cubs. It is the White Sox by percentage points because the Cleveland Indians have lost their 4th straight, or whatever they're calling them now, the Commanders, or no, who are they? The Guardians, whatever. That's the dumbest fucking name in the world. But the Cleveland Indians have lost 4 in a row, so the White Sox are percentage points above them and in first place for the first time in, I think, 10 years or something like that?
So it's like a 1963 or something.
Well,
yeah.
Congratulations to all the White Sox fans out there. Props to you, I guess.
Hey, man, even if it wasn't the White Sox, that's a hell of a story. This kid comes up, his first game ever, hits a walk-off home run. Only the 5th player in MLB history to do that.
Yeah. Switch hitter, dude. He hit it from the left side of the mound, opposite field.
Yeah, both assists for Oppo.
Left side of the plate.
Just another stud in the White Sox organization. Too bad the Cubs can't follow suit.
Yeah, the Cubs should be calling up some of these minor league players right now because there ain't much left to prove.
I mean, Erica, Sean, at this point, you just hope they lose enough games that they become sellers at the deadline and they can add to the talent they already got down there. It would be a much quicker rebuild. They could rebuild kind of like the White Sox did.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm not going to lie because I'm full-fledged 100% into football. And unfortunately, like I stated at the top of the show, this is the last time we're going to see anything for football, or tomorrow will be the last time we see anything about the Bears or anything around the NFL as far as participating in any kind of activities until training camps open here at the end of July. So I guess we got our little fun take for the last couple of weeks of these OTAs, seeing some players out there not in pads. We got a little film watching what these guys are doing. It was nice to see Deo getting off the line out there today. He's getting back, and hopefully he can have an impact season.
He had the Achilles, right? Didn't he? It wasn't an Achilles.
Wasn't it Achilles for him?
For who?
For
Mike?
For who?
Or was it Shamar with the Achilles?
Deo.
Yeah, Deo was Achilles.
Deo was Achilles.
They both had Achilles.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Jaylon Johnson because for our Bears community, that bag on Jaylon and Montez Sweat, it's not a good week or look for you guys at the moment. But some notes from the presser today from Ben Johnson. Bears cornerbacks are getting great work for his different style of receivers. Luther's speed, quickness, Rome's size, Khalif's suddenness. Unfortunately, that secondary still doesn't have one Kyler Gordon. Ben said he's not worried about Caleb handling the attention. The focus is on football, and Caleb is built for this. Xavier Thomas, we did ask Zach Pearson if he saw him in the running back position. Maybe he wasn't prior to Zach being here, but he definitely was in the running back position on the field today doing some things, and that was something me personally I was excited for after watching his tape to see how Ben could deploy him out of the backfield, doing different things. But his college highlights were built on speed, and that's, I think, what we're going to see a lot of from him this year. The O-line, he said the O-line has had some strong drill work today. He said it's tough to say who's trending up or down without being in pads. He said Kobe Bryant knows what good football looks like. He comes alive on the practice field. That's great to hear. He said it's a big summer for Shamar Turner. Dale being back on the field, he said, is a major step forward for his confidence. That was awesome. Scramble drill has been a big emphasis with Caleb's improvement and ability this year. Ben said the route runners came alive, and we're taking good coaching points today on the practice field, which is good. With some of the leaders gone, there's an opportunity for other guys to step up. Ben said leadership, the leadership piece will sort it out through the work that they put on the field, so we'll have to see. Dennis Allen is giving the offense tough looks with cover zero, forcing quarterbacks no line to communicate and adjust. Something we're going to talk about here, Dennis Allen and his future. High praise for Ben, or for one Montez Sweat, for the Montez Sweat haters. He took time out to praise him, said coming off what he thought was his best season as a football player, which I tried to emphasize on Monday. I thought that as well, watching him doing the little things that don't always show up on tape. That's Montez Sweat. Maybe he shouldn't have been paid what he did, but the Bears offered it to him. It was smart for him to take it, right, guys?
I'm going to say yes to that contract.
Exactly. And then he said Rome looks good. He said he feels great, looks good, looks like the same old Rome. He said right now he has no concerns. And then he talked about Colston Loveland, said he loves what he brings to the table. He's one of the most consistent players he's ever been around. It's early. He's always in the playbook, and he's always taking notes. He's ready to take his route tree to the next level. As we've been saying on this channel for a long time, big things are popping for him and Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, going into this season. Guys, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the presser today at all, or what were some of your takeaways, some of your thoughts about what you guys saw from the Bears? And, no pads, but still going to have some thoughts about what we're seeing and what the coach is saying and the coaches are saying.
My biggest takeaway out of all of it, I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. No, I think it was yesterday. Khalif Raymond's little brief presser. And him just talking about how, like Colston Loveland, he went to go ask Colston Loveland, hey, man, let's go hit the jugs. And Colston said, dude, I was just at that. I just did my 100 reps on the jugs already. So he was literally saying that guys, like every receiver is hitting it before and after practice, obviously during practice. So that's a good sign. He also mentioned that, being coached by Johnson before, obviously not with the Bears, but with the Lions, that Ben Johnson thinks through plays as a season. So he's designing this offense almost like per year, right? So next year's offense is probably going to look slightly different. He looks at the schedule and he literally designs these plays. And he says, Khalif Raymond said, dude, he'll walk up to you and be like, hey, man, see this play? So-and-so safety's going to get burned on that when we play them week 4, week 5, or whatever. He's thinking about the teams that he's playing. And it really makes sense because some of the reporters ask questions about the past or, like LA. He's like, yeah, I don't really care. Like, because they're not playing LA, right? He'll worry about that in the playoffs if and when they get there and if and when they see them. So that's just nice to hear from me or for me from Khalif Raymond. And it's good to know every player, by the way, and I know we're coming off of a playoff season, a division winning season. Everybody seems really happy. But everybody is pretty adamant with the same story that, man, especially these new guys, I'm walking in here and I can see why everybody is tight because everybody's working, everybody's doing the same thing, everybody's trying. So, from all accounts, this should be a good season. But you're right, Sean, the pads are not on yet. It's hard to tell how good the offensive defensive line is. They're just running drills, basically. Yeah, you have interceptions, but you know what I mean? There could be design plays that they're trying to push in. You know, they might be running a really basic offense, and then you know, you're getting a much better defense. You know, you got to coach both sides. You can't just coach one. But I believe, who was it? Somebody I saw wrote that the 7-on-7s. Oh, Adam Johns, the 7-on-7 drills by Caleb. He had one where he didn't have a single incompletion. So driving down the field. So that's another good sign, because he said it was quick, fast-paced, short passing. So that's something that you really want to hear if you want to hear Caleb's going to take that next step. Kyle, I don't know what you took from any of it, but that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, from the pressure itself, I mean, the thing that I found most intriguing, man, was the grading system for Caleb's throws. Listen, you know, even when there's a completion, that doesn't necessarily mean it's an A+ throw. You know, so Ben Johnson basically came out and said, we're grading each throw through an A through F grading system, and even if Caleb completes the pass, it doesn't mean it's an A+. You want to get these guys in stride. You want to keep the ball ahead of them. Make sure that you're giving them as much opportunity as possible to continue to run after the catch. Make sure you're hitting them when they're in open space, as opposed to when the defender gets closed in on them. I think that's probably Caleb's biggest flaw from, if you watch last season, guys. There's just too many times where either A, he missed wide open receivers, or B, even the throws he did complete, sometimes it was a little bit behind the receiver and they had to stop the route, make it tackled. If Caleb can just fine tune those throws just a little bit, just a tiny bit, because I'm certainly not complaining about Caleb Williams, but if he gets any better in any way, shape, or form, you talk about efficiency, completion percentage, if he gets these guys in open space, gets the ball in his playmakers' hands, when they're in stride, you're talking about a huge difference between this year's team and last year's team. And I think that's what separates Caleb Williams from being a top 10 quarterback or the best quarterback in the NFL. And if he takes that next step in year 2 of Ben Johnson's offense, it's going to be a fun season for Chicago Bears fans, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's nice to see that the highest paid guys on this roster right now are really stepping up. Montez Sweat's being praised by his coaches. He missed a little bit of OTAs, but they said they're really happy to get him back on the field. And he didn't just come out to enjoy the sun. He was putting in effort, and it was all over the field. And the thing I took away from his presser was this right here. They asked him about Ben Johnson's coaching style, and he said, everything is about winning. And if it isn't about winning, it was non-existent. And he goes, they asked him about the second year of training camp, and he goes, yeah, I'm expecting the worst. Ben's going to put these guys through hell. They're coming in. They're expecting it. And I expect big things again. I've been talking about this last Wednesday, talking about it a little bit on Monday, and I really do believe this. And I think, you know, I don't know where you guys are with this, but unlocking Austin Booker on one side to complement Montez Sweat on the left side. Montez Sweat can actually, if he's getting this pressure and he's doing his thing, flushing him out, flushing the quarterback towards Montez Sweat, could end up with more than 10 sacks this year. I think Sweat and Booker are both going to have great seasons for the Bears this year. They're going to set the tone for this defense. And I still personally believe, we're going to get in Dennis Allen here in a minute and some of the players that he picks, but I personally believe this rotation of D tackles that they have, I think it's going to work out. I really do. I don't think, hey, man, we're going to have Pro Bowlers. I just think the combination of them all will find a way to make it work, and they'll put them in the right spots. They'll figure it's this situation these two guys need to be in. You know, I trust this coaching staff to figure it out. And again, I'm not saying, hey, man, we got Aaron Donald on this line. I just think we got a collection of really good football players that are going to make a strong rotation for the Chicago Bears in 2026.
Well, you know, Sean, we talked about this last week. You know, Seattle didn't have a guy with more than 7.5 sacks on their team, on their defensive line, and they won the Super Bowl. I think your point is pretty valid here. We don't necessarily need, Khalil Mack in his prime. We don't need a stud. What we need is I would say 10 guys, because you're going to have a rotation, right? 10 guys all working in unison, because there's going to be a rotation. Montez Sweat actually does play a lot of snaps. He's probably going to play more snaps than anybody else, which I don't think a lot of people give him credit for. He played a whole full season, and I think last year he had to miss 1 or 2 games a year before that, but he plays a lot of snaps. So he's very, very durable, and I don't think people give him credit for, really just the endurance of wrestling 300-pound tackles.
And Jason, he's the only one getting double teams regularly because he's the only threat.
So you're right. I'm sorry. 600 pounds.
Yeah. You want to know the thing too that just made me upset is it was not last year. It was 2024. He came out and said he was disappointed in his performance, but he was playing with multiple injuries, ankle, knee, wrist. And the guy still didn't take time off, and he went out there and he doesn't get the respect, in my opinion, that he should get from Bears Nation. I don't know where you're at with Montez Sweat, Kyle. I actually do know where you're at with Montez Sweat, Kyle. But, the thoughts, like, what do you think? Do you think the Bears Nation doesn't give Montez Sweat enough credit for what he actually does on the field and who he actually represents for this defense?
Well, I think overall, in totality, when it comes to the fan base in particular, I think that his production is overshadowed by his contract. Listen, you guys said it before the show. Like, if somebody walks up to you and is like, "Hey, do you want $98 million for 4 years?" Yeah, of course you're going to take it. And maybe he hasn't lived up to that contract, but you guys, you got to be mad at Ryan Poles. Don't be mad at Montez Sweat. Montez, just because he hasn't. Just because he's not getting 20 sacks a year doesn't mean he's not one of the best defensive ends in all of football. The difference between Montez Sweat and some of those guys like Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons is he does a lot more. He doesn't get you the 20 sacks, the 15 sacks, but first of all, he's probably the best run defender in terms of defensive end in the NFL. He was ranked number 1 by PFF 2 years in a row. And even when the year he was hurt, I think he was still in like the top 10. Last year, I think he was number 3 or number 4. I mean, he consistently sets the edge. You said it when we started the show, Sean. Montez Sweat just does a lot of things that may not necessarily show up on the stat sheet on paper, but he makes life easier for everybody else out there. And on top of that, Jason, you talk about the durability. What's your best ability? Availability. He's also a leader. Everybody in that locker room loves and respects him. He's the first guy on the field, the last guy off. He plays the most snaps, like Jason said. If we had another guy on the other side of the line that was a 10 or 15 sack guy, if we had another like Mark Anderson in his rookie year or Julius, anybody who gets a lot of sacks, people would love Montez Sweat. They would absolutely love him. Bears fans would absolutely adore him. The reason they don't is because he got paid $100 million and he's not getting the same sack numbers as some of the guys who lead the NFL. But he was never advertised as such, guys. Ryan Poles wanted that versatile defensive end, a guy who could do everything. He wasn't necessarily cheap. He didn't sign Montez Sweat promising the fans that even though his best year in terms of sacks was 8, he's going to come here and have 20. That was never part of the conversation. He got Montez Sweat because he likes the fact that he's good at everything and he's really good at stopping the run in terms of defensive end. So I couldn't be happier with Montez Sweat. Maybe, I guess you could say the $98 million is too much, but realistically, guys, if you look at the NFL, what you guys are getting paid, how fast these contracts go up, how fast the market gets reset, Montez Sweat's probably getting paid exactly what he earned.
He's worth,
if he left here and signs another 2-year contract somewhere else, it's going to be around $18-20 million a year. That's where he's going to get basically the same thing he got here. Maybe listen, when the Bears traded for him, knowing he was going to be a free agent, basically a rental, as some people call it, you lost all the leverage. You lost all the leverage. His agent's like, listen, man, you guys just traded a 2nd-round pick to the Atlanta or to Washington for this guy. We know you're not going to let him walk out of the building. You're not just going to You're not just going to get rid of a 2nd-round pick and then just let Montez Sweat walk in free agency. We know you're going to have to pay him. We know you have to pay him. So they had all the negotiating leverage. They had all of it. I bet you if Montez Sweat had walked in the building as a free agent, the Bears probably would have got him for 4 years, $85 million, somewhere around there. 4 year, 85, 90, somewhere in between there. Because they decided to trade for an expiring contract, they got stuck with no leverage in the negotiations, and they had to pay him 4 years, $98 million. That's how the NFL works. And Sean, maybe he's not worth $98 million, but I think he's worth respect. I think Montez Sweat, you can make an argument that Montez Sweat has, over the last 3 seasons, even though you had a down season last year, has probably been the Chicago Bears' most consistent defensive player.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm with Creighton here too. I am a firm believer that Austin Booker is going to lead this team in sacks. I do believe that.
I don't think Montez Sweat would take that personally.
But I still think Montez Sweat might get you 10 on the other end.
Yeah, and maybe if Austin Booker starts to get sacks, maybe they make a little bit of a competition out of it. Maybe Booker's like, hey, man, I got 2. What are you doing, Montez? What are you doing? Maybe Montez.
And maybe Booker just starts drawing more double teams, which gives Montez Sweat,
frees him up.
Here's an interesting stat. I was just pulling up on NFL Pro Plus. So at edge alignment, he has the 5th most snaps out of basically it's Aiden Hutchinson, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Josh Hines Allen, and then Montez Sweat, right? Pretty good company to be in.
Yeah.
He actually has the third out of those 5, the third best, meaning lowest quarterback rating allowed out of those guys. That's why he's getting paid the money, and that's a stat that you're not really going to see. He might be getting quality pressures that we aren't seeing. I think, Sean, we talked about this before. I think you're right. I think my only problem with him is paid a little bit too much, but maybe he's not. You know what I mean? If you look at his stats and his production, for a guy we were complaining all year long didn't have any sacks, and then somehow miraculously had 10 sacks at the end of the year. I think the first half wasn't as good. Second half was, because the kid, Austin Booker, came in and helped out. I think that was really the biggest improvement for him. So if we can get pressure from Deo, Shamar, Erica was asking, we don't really know if he's going to be healthy yet. Hopefully maybe there for minicamp. We've got Gallimore now rushing up the middle. I think he's going to be not just a big run defender, but I think he's going to have some, literal, you can see the difference in the defensive line that I think Gallimore is going to make. Again, he's not going to be, 30 sacks or anything like that, but I think that inside pressure that we've talked about a lot here is going to help out those edges. Now, it may look just like it did last year, which is, 6-7 average, whatever the kids are calling it nowadays. But I think that if the Bears can kind of mimic what Seattle did, can mimic what Denver Broncos, Kyle, you talked about Denver quite a few times as well. I think then we might have something special here. And then, of course, everybody's got to stay healthy. But Montez Sweat is I would say good, not great, but I love him as a Bear. We might miss him more if he's gone than we know.
Yeah, and it's going to be real quick, and before we get, because I want to get into some of this mini camp news as well. But
yeah,
it's going to be sacked by committee, and the Bears know that.
Yeah.
They know that. They're not. The Bears aren't like, all right, if Montez and Austin don't get us 22.5 sacks combined, we're going to be the worst team in the NFL in terms of pass rush. They know they have to get creative. And that's what Dennis Allen has done his entire career. He's going to use corners. He's going to use safeties. He's going to use linebackers. Everybody's going to get their crack. You saw it today, guys. You saw it in the mini camp today. Who had the cleanest sack of the day? Kobe Bryant. It's going to happen a lot in this season. You expect it. You never know where the pressure is going to come from when it comes with Dennis Allen and the Chicago Bears defense.
It's a big prediction right there from Creighton. He doesn't think Big Dex makes the football team. I still think Big Dex has untapped potential that the Bears are still trying to get out of him. And as we take a look, I mean, this was a little get up and get off for the defensive line today. It's nice to see 55 back out there with this big contract. Deo hopefully making some contributions to the Bears team this year, and a nice rotation that he'll be in as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember when it comes to guys like Javon Dexter, who everybody's talking about in the chat here. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm a huge Javon Dexter fan. I'm not even saying, like Sean said, he's untapped potential. Maybe he does. Maybe he gets better. But you do have to consider the fact, guys, that, people talk about a defensive adjustment when you're changing the scheme for a guy like Montez Sweat or Jaylon Johnson. People are like, well, the guy's a veteran. He should get used to this. Like, he should be able to adjust. Javon Dexter's not. He's not a veteran. This guy's played in the NFL for 3 years, and he's already had to learn a whole new playbook. Maybe he's just uncomfortable. Maybe he doesn't understand the terminology yet. I think the more comfortable he gets in Dennis Allen's scheme, a la next year, 2026, you probably are going to see a little bit of some reason in his game, and I think he's going to get better. Do I think that there are certain limitations for Javon Dexter? Do I think he has a ceiling? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Javon Dexter is ever going to be Jalen Carter. I just don't think he has the body style or he just doesn't know how to. His footwork is not as good. His stance is not as good. He plays too high. I think Javon is just that. Those are kind of some habits that are going to stick with him maybe for the rest of his playing career. I don't know, but I can tell you this: I do think that the second year in the same scheme, when you're more comfortable with the terminology and it's more react rather than think like, oh man, we learned that play a couple weeks ago. Which play was that? Like, I think when you know the playbook like the back of your hand, I think it just makes these guys all play a lot faster and a lot better. And I think Javon is going to get better. And you know what? To be honest with you guys, I know he's been putrid against the run, and I'm not going to defend him because he has. If you go look at the PFF numbers, he has been good. And I'm not, when I was talking about Montez Sweat earlier, I'm not talking about the PFF numbers in terms against the run. I'm talking about tackles in terms of the run game. I think last year he had 35. I think that was 7th in the NFL defensive ends. But when it comes to Javon Dexter, he's still a pretty good presence in terms of getting sacks. If you look at defensive tackles, I think he's been top 10 2 years in a row. If he can get better at all, you're talking about maybe creeping in the top 5. He's just got to get more fundamentally sound at stopping the run. That's the problem. Yeah. He's got to get better against the run. He has to.
And maybe, I was going to say,
needs to get better.
Yep. And maybe this year they're not going to use them in those positions. They're going to use the Gallimores, the Lynches, the Katavian Streets. They're going to use those guys and pull him off the field and keep him fresh for those passing down. And maybe his sack numbers go up, because I think this rotation is going to be a lot different than what everyone thinks. What's going on, James? Bear down, brother. Romy, bear down too.
What's going on, man? Profits in the house, Creighton in the house. Nice to see you guys. Appreciate you guys being here.
I don't know. Monday got a little out of control when we were talking about the defense, and I don't think. Again, Kyle, you and I had him at 15. I think middle of the league is a good spot for this team, because I do believe there's a lot of versatility on this defense.
I think they'll finish in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and if they do that, it's going to look much better than 25th or 28th, whatever they were last year.
Well, too, you got to remember, like we talked about this too. The what was it? The 08 Cardinals that went to the Super Bowl. Dude, they were 20th they were 19th or 20th in defense. They just had a top offense, and they were able to get there. And they were a miracle. Santonio Holmes tapping catch in the corner of the end zone away from winning a Super Bowl, so it's not impossible to have an average defense with a great offense that can move the ball and beat a good defense. And I know defense wins championships, but I don't necessarily agree with that in every single year anymore, like I did when I was growing up. I don't know.
Sean, you hit the nail on the head. I think Bears fans need to get used to having a much better offense than defense. We all grew up watching some phenomenal Bears defenses, and then watching a sputtering offense, right? Ranked 15th. If we hit top, 10, we were all running through the streets naked. Now, I don't think we're going to have a number one defense. It's probably rare, because the fact is we have an offensive-minded coach. We'll get into him going into defense in a little bit here, but that's probably going to mean the priority is going to be consistently on the offense. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because that's just the way the league is now.
Yeah. And you want to know, go ahead, Kyle.
No, Sean, go ahead.
I was just gonna throw this up there, because I think when you listen to Cole Kmet and you listen to who Ben Johnson is, if people haven't figured it out, I think the Bears are going to try and control the clock, keep the defense off the field as much as they can, and then lean on their defense when they have the lead. This is what Cole Kmet said when he sat down with Stacey Dales just the other day.
The artistry in Ben Johnson and how he coaches.
Oh, man. Well, I think he's just a true football coach. I think I've been a lot of guys that they love their pass game, they love their pass schemes, and they love the ball in the air. At the end of the day, Ben loves the run game, and that's his baby. And I've never been around a play caller, let alone a head coach, that will do the run install. Usually that's the offensive line coach or the run game coordinator, whoever it might be. But Ben takes a lot of pride in it, and he wants to make sure everybody's on the same page when it comes to the run game. So
you guys were.
He looks like an edge rusher, not a tight end.
He's a big boy, man. I will say this. I like the running back room. I would like it a lot better with a Gibbs or a Bijan, and we just don't have that. And who's going to be the number 3 back in this? And especially if Swift or Monangai go down, Roshan Johnson's still hanging around. Britton Brown's there. Who was that undrafted free agent, Kyle? Rome Redunze's friend. Yeah. He looks pretty fast, but again,
bad news for Bennett today.
Oh, what happened?
Not on the practice field today, but
he can't be missing days like this.
Yeah, we'll get in some of the OTA news later, or the mini camp news later. Yeah, Sean, I think it's Roshan Johnson.
I think it's finally going to be his time,
like
dude.
Him or not. I think it's Roshan. I think Roshan. This is the third running back is his job to lose. To me personally, guys. Listen, Britton Brown's a journeyman. Bennett's a rookie. It's going to take him a long time to see the field. He's certainly not Kyle Monangai. At the end of the day, your best bet is probably Roshan Johnson. I'm not saying that because I like Roshan Johnson a lot or love him or anything, but if he could stay healthy, I think they probably consider him the closest thing to an NFL starting back of the group that we're talking about, excluding Kyle Monangai. and DeAndre Swift. But yeah, I mean, you guys are right, man. I mean, this
Well,
is
it's not Savon Ahmed. He's not going to be your savior.
you've used all your first round picks on offensive guys. You hired an offensive head coach. You've put how much time, effort, and resources into the offensive line. Jason, I agree with you 100%. Bears fans, you better get used to this. I mean, it's an offensive league. It's a quarterback-driven league. I know people always say defense wins championships, and at the end of the day, the playoffs, that really is what happens. Is the offense wins you regular season games, the defense wins you championships. And you guys, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I wasn't really too upset with the Bears' defensive efforts in the playoffs last year. I think they actually played pretty damn well against the Rams. I think if the Bears
when they were fully healthy.
Yeah, if the Bears offense doesn't turn the ball over 3 times, the Bears probably win that game. I think when the Bears were at their healthiest, or when Dennis Allen started finally getting comfortable with the guys he liked the most, like DeMarco Jackson, I think the defense looked pretty damn good. I think at the end of the day, it was just a slew of injuries that just held this team back. But Sean, do you care if I go over some of this OT stuff or this mini camp?
No, I just on the running back room really quick. I just wanted to say, you guys know, I think everybody that's ever watched this channel knows, I love Roschon Johnson. I've always loved Roschon Johnson, and I'm praying to God that he finally gets an opportunity. He shows up and shows out, because I still think there's a lot of talent in that body. I know a lot of people are going to pick on me for saying this, which is fine. I don't care. I believe in the kid. I hope he gets the opportunity, and he shows up and, like I said, shows out for the Bears in 2026. Let's go, Roschon. I believe in you, kid. I believe in you. 100% I do. What you got,
and maybe it's Thomas. Maybe he's the one that fills in.
Davion Thomas is going to have some backfield, Jay. 110%. Yeah. I have no doubt about that. I just don't like when you think about it. Like, you don't want him carrying the ball 15 times a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to assume at some point Kyle Monangai or DeAndre Swift are going to miss some time. And I know it was a very healthy situation for the running backs last year outside of that Bengals game with DeAndre Swift missed. But for the most part, the running back room for the Bears stayed pretty healthy. You got to play the odds. The odds that both those guys play 16, 17 games this year is probably just not going to happen. So you need to have a number 3. And I bet you right now, if you ask the coaching staff, they'd say that Roschon Johnson is first in line. And that's not just me saying that because I like Roschon Johnson or anything like that. Watch the film from Bears minicamp. DeAndre Swift will run her out first, then Kyle Monangai, then Roschon Johnson. DeAndre Swift will do a pass protection snap first, then Kyle Monangai, then Roschon Johnson. He's always third. Always.
We got this right now. Let's check it out.
I will say clear that DeAndre ran the best route there, but
I'm going to say this too. I think Monangai and Swift's catches were awesome because those were terrible throws by whoever was chucking that rock.
Probably a coach.
I think it was Bajan, actually. I think it was Bajan throwing those passes. But yeah, real quick, I just want to go over mini camp today and yesterday, guys. Just because we didn't really have a chance to talk about it, but I'll save the best for last, and that was from yesterday, day 1 of camp, because we're going to talk about this guy a little bit, and I'd like to get Jason's take because he wasn't here Monday, but. Yeah, yesterday, Montez Sweat made his presence known. Obviously, you guys know Caleb Williams threw 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions was because Montez Sweat had his arms wrapped around Caleb Williams when he was throwing the ball. Caleb should not have thrown that ball. He should have taken the sack. But in practice, he's never going to take it to the ground. So it's like, hey, why not just hurl it up there and see what happens? I think if it was an actual game, it would probably been a different situation. But both Khalif Raymond and Luther Burden yesterday had made tons of plays, man, including Raymond juking Dylan Thieneman for first down and Burden running down a Williams pass to the 30-yard line for a 50-yard gain. Those are the 2 names that when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, and obviously Loveland, but I think people just kind of assume Loveland is a stud and you don't really have to talk about it anymore. But Raymond and Burden's names seem to be popping up a lot, as well as Xavier Thomas. A name you don't really hear a lot from is Rome Odunze, but I think that's probably just because when he does make plays, they're like, oh, that's Rome. Everybody knows Rome. We don't have to talk about him, I think what the press is trying to do is get you updated on some of the newer guys, some of the guys in their second year. And then last from yesterday, both Deo and TJ Edwards showed progress in team drills, and they're both moving closer to full go. So that's good news for those guys. And then day 2 today, guys, Caleb threw a touchdown to Khalif Raymond. He threw a touchdown to Luther Burden, and he threw a touchdown to DeAndre Swift. He was intercepted by Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant jumped a Jade Walker route, picked the pass off, and they said he probably would have returned it for a touchdown had it been a real game in the regular season. Kobe Bryant also had a sack that was described by Brad Biggs as would have been a kill shot. So I'm assuming a clean hit, and he probably would have absolutely destroyed Caleb Williams or the opposing quarterback if it was a real game, because I believe he got in there untouched. And another thing to that point, guys, is that what they're saying is just from the, and Jason, you said it earlier, it's all very vanilla right now, right? They don't want to show their cards, but they're saying that Dennis Allen is giving them a ton of looks and the offense is having trouble keeping up with it. You never know where the pressure is coming from. And that's, I think, what we've been talking about, what we expect. Today on the practice field, guys, unfortunately, we did not see Kyler Gordon, DeMarco Jackson, Noah Sewell, Shamar Turner, Ruben Hippolyte, Keyshawn Elliott, Cam Lewis, Ozzie Trapillo, James Lynch, Neville Gallimore, and the aforementioned Bennett, the running back who the Bears got undrafted free agent this year. Somebody who was back on the field today and was a full go, guys, after leaving practice yesterday when he tweaked his ankle, was Tyreek Stevenson. And Tyreek Stevenson had 2 passes defended today, and Brad Biggs said he probably looked like the best player on the field today. So that's really good, because you guys remember early on in OTAs, he got burned by both, I think it was Rome Odunze and Xavier Thomas scored touchdowns against him. So it's good to see him coming back into form a little bit. Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney were on the practice field, but they didn't participate in team drills. I think those guys are just older at this point, and that's probably just a veteran day. And then when it comes to the backups, guys, Scotty Miller would have been an 80-yard catch from Case Keenum, very deep ball, probably would have scored a touchdown. And Jaylon Johnson had a pass breakup against Caleb Williams when he was targeting Rome Odunze. And I brought up Caleb Johnson last because yesterday, not today, but yesterday, Jaylon Johnson had 2 interceptions. The aforementioned interception from Caleb Williams, Montez Sweat was sacking him. One of those was Jaylon Johnson. He had another one later on in the 2-minute drill. From all accounts coming out of OTAs and mandatory minicamp, it sounds like Jaylon Johnson is the star of the show, man. It sounds like he's picking up right where he left off in 2024 in his last healthy season. I'm expecting huge things out of Jaylon Johnson. So I'm going to ask you, Jason, because you weren't on the show on Monday. Dustin asked the question, if Jaylon Johnson gets back in a true top 10 cornerback form, how much does that improve the Chicago Bears defense?
Well, drastically. I mean, if you look at, you already brought it up. If you look at that Packers game and that Rams game in the playoffs, when really the secondary was healthy for the first time all year, actually played together all year long. Now, maybe there's a little bit more juice in the playoffs. These guys are playing with a little bit more, oomph, but so is the other team. You know what I mean? If he's healthy, it is a much better secondary. And if we can find somebody to play on the other side, it's going to be really scary, because I think we can all agree, except for depth at safety, I think our safeties are pretty darn good. I think our linebacking crew improved. And we still have questions on the defensive line. But, look, sometimes really good coverage, sticky coverage, helps those facts out. The quarterback's got to hold on to the ball just a little bit too long. Maybe it's 1/2 of a second or a second. That's all it takes to get that sack or to get that quality pressure in there. So maybe he throws a mistake to somebody else. The one thing about a cornerback is you really want him to have like a 0 stat line sheet, right? Nobody threw the ball at him. Nobody, he ran a lot of, defended a lot of routes, but, nobody threw the ball at him. It's almost like that, right? You don't want to hear from you don't want to hear the announcers say your tackles' names at all, unless they're saying they're having a good job. You don't want to hear the DB's names really at all, because that means that they're doing their job, So if he can be that, 100 yards, total season allowed, or whatever it was that one season he had, which was
163 yards was a lot he allowed in 2023. I think it was
that's
his best
ridiculous.
season. I don't remember what year it was. It was his best season. Yeah, but remarkable numbers. A true shutdown corner for sure. Go ahead, Jason. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was reading Dustin's comment there. They weren't really, and he's right. They probably weren't really fully healthy. I think it was. I was just watching it earlier today. So one of the players had mentioned about, coming back from, it was Braxton Jones. He had mentioned how much more confident he is in his body. And he was saying that, look, sometimes after an injury, you're not really sure if you can really go 100%. You're going as fast as you can go, but you're not giving that one extra little effort because you're worried maybe your knee's going to blow out again, or your ankle, or whatever your problem is. These guys, we got to remember too, it is their living, right? It's their livelihood. So, they want to make sure that they can keep getting paid. You don't want to always hear about guys making business decisions, but, these guys are in their 20s and 30s. They don't also want, debilitating injuries for the rest of their life either, right? Probably why Dahlman retired early. So, I'm hoping that this year he is now fully 100% healthy and confident in his body. We could just get Kyler Gordon there, because honestly, those two guys to me right now are probably the linchpins of the entire defense. If we can get both of them healthy, both of them playing at 100% of their potential, this defense looks way different. It just does. And not because it looks different, it is different. They actually alignments. I was reading on this too. When it was Jaylon Johnson, when Tyreek Stevenson was out, Jaylon Johnson played mostly on the left side. When Tyreek Stevenson was healthy, they now can put him on both sides. So they can literally, it makes the defense, when everybody's healthy, that much more adaptable and unpredictable. So a healthy him, a 100% him, in every form, in every way possible, makes that defense better. It's just, especially if he's going to hold, in the rest of the league to 164 yards.
Yeah.
Yes, we're definitely going to be much better.
Sean, do you want to get to that chat? I don't know if I've seen that name before.
Yeah, I don't.
Hobbs, if you've been here before, I apologize, man. There's a lot of people.
Had it ready.
Yeah, that's for you, bud.
Yeah.
We love you and appreciate you guys so much for being here, man. He says you've got to take it with a grain of salt. Skylar Gordon super concerns me, and other polls missed evaluation. I don't know if I necessarily say I think it's a missed evaluation. I think he's a damn good player. I think he's probably a top 3 nickel corner in the league. I think at the end of the day, you can't predict injuries, and I think when the Bears signed him due to extension, they had their fingers crossed that the injuries were behind him. And at the end of the day, this might just be who Kyler Gordon is. He might be a guy who deals with injuries for the rest of his career. If you guys remember Mike Brown from the early 2000s, a great Bears safety, but he could never find a way to stay in the field. Kyler Gordon, it seems like it's going that way. Hopefully, already dealing with the soft tissue injury and the offseason here.
You hope it's more precautionary, and they're just like, look, we don't want you to have a season like you did last year. So you know what, you're going to be, working it out, stretching. That's probably what he's doing, I would imagine, because they don't really have injury designations right now. So Johnson won't even tell you what's going on with Shamar Turner. Well, maybe we'll see him. We don't know. So I think it's more of just, look, let's get in there, make sure we're working it out so we don't have these issues down the road. It's also really humid out there too. So you got to be cautious. If guys are getting dehydrated in this weather, that's not good for your soft tissue injuries, especially the muscles.
Too, when it comes to a Jaylon Johnson, Kyle, and we've talked about this and try to emphasize this point. We've talked about this on previous shows. Stats don't always tell the whole story. For elite quarterbacks, a lot of value comes by not being targeted, and Johnson's reputation around the league is built as much on his coverage ability and not so much on his interception totals, because when they're not throwing you the ball your way, it's kind of hard to get interceptions. And I know a lot of people, you hear the score and you hear those boobs on CHGO. He doesn't get enough interceptions. Well, when
he's a cover corner, dummy.
When people don't throw the ball your direction, you're not going to get picks. And, fans sometimes forget, analysts sometimes forget, but quarterbacks don't. And quarterbacks don't target Jaylon Johnson because they know how good he is. The guy is shut down. And, of course, there's going to be times he's going to get beat by a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. They're as elite as he is, and they're going to win some of these one-on-one battles. But if you go to the history of Jaylon Johnson and Justin Jefferson's had his wins. Jaylon Johnson's had his wins. That's what happens. But on a regular basis, game-to-game basis, I do believe Jaylon Johnson this year is going to return to that elite form that he had in 2023 and 2024, his 2 Pro Bowl years that he had for the Chicago Bears. He had some forced fumbles. He did have 4 interceptions through those couple of years. So I do believe he's going to return to that. I fully do. And listening to every single Bears beat reporter and the head coach of our football team, like you stated, Kyle, this guy's been the star. He's fast. He's quick. His coverage ability seems to be on par. And I understand it's OTAs, but OTAs, I think, can tell a better story for wide receivers and defensive backs, because I don't know that the pads matter as much for them as it does for defensive and offensive linemen. You get me? So that's kind of what I'm at with it.
You guys, for me personally, and Jason, you talked about it earlier, we're so used to, as Bears fans, watching these great defenses. This is all, the new offense thing is all new to me, guys. I think the best year I've ever seen in big terms of the Bears offense was Martellus Bennett, Matt Forte, Brennan Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Jay Cutler. But this, to me personally, I think the ceiling is much, much higher for this offense. But yeah, when it comes to defense, I like those more traditional corners. I love Darrelle Revis. I love those guys who it's like, yeah, he never had double digits interceptions in his career. He never had 7-8 interceptions in a year, but man, you just can't throw the ball his way because he just doesn't give you any space. When the quarterback's like, man, if he's just going to continue to play on Justin Jefferson's hip like that, I'm just not going to throw the ball over there. I'm just going to.
That's what you want. I'm not going to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. Thank you.
Yeah, no matter who it be, if you can eliminate one side of the field, then the game becomes much more predictable, and it becomes much easier for guys like Dylan Thieneman and we guys like Kevin Byard we saw last year. If Jaylon gets back to 100% healthy and back to the form he was before he got hurt just 2 years ago, guys, I if you add a number one corner to this defense, I think it makes a world of difference. I think the sky's the limit, and if they can just get a little bit better at pressuring the quarterback, a little bit better in the sack department, I think the Bears are in for a surprisingly good season on defense. I'm not saying they're going to be top 10. That's not what I mean, but I think they're better than people think.
Can I ask you guys both a question? Would you guys consider Patrick Surtain the best corner in the league right now?
Yeah, I don't think it's a question.
You can make a good argument. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
He's top
Okay. I just wanted to ask because when you look at Patrick Surtain's interceptions, 1, 4, 1, 2, 4. He doesn't get interceptions either. You know why? Because they ain't throwing the ball his freaking way. You're not throwing the ball to Patrick Surtain because it's gonna be a pass deflection.
And if you're talking about, listen, there are guys in the middle too. There are guys in the middle. There are guys who get their interceptions, but they also give up big plays. And then there's guys who get a lot of interceptions, but they give up way too much big plays. Guys like Nashawn Wright, guys like what was his name on the Diggs, Trayvon Diggs and the Cowboys. Like, I'd prefer the guy who gives up 220 yards receiving all year and has 2 interceptions to the guy that gives up 785 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns, but it has 7 interceptions. I like the fundamentally sound football players.
I agree.
Like Jaylon Johnson, who are like, hey man, the ball doesn't come my way enough to pick it, but I don't care. As long as the guy I'm defending is not burning me and he's not at the end of the game, not walking out with me and going, hey, I had your number today, Jaylon. As long as that's happening especially against your best receiver, like Sean, you said, there's some damn good receivers in this division, guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, these guys are no scrubs. If Jaylon Johnson get back to form and they're like, you know what, we can only target Justin Jefferson 6 times today instead of 12 because he's Jaylon Johnson's over there.
That's a win.
I'm all about it. Yeah, please God. I'm all, and like Jason, you said it earlier, something we don't talk about enough on the show in general as Bears fans. If you do have those coverage corners, you get coverage sacks. The defensive line will look better if the corners can do their job for 3, 4, 5 seconds instead of Nashawn Wright, who, if he's not picking off a pass, his receiver's open in 2 seconds. I mean, you guys, what Amon-Ra St. Brown did to the Bears last year is not acceptable. That cannot happen again. I mean, he absolutely just tore them to shreds. I mean, he literally caught pass after pass after pass after pass. And it was like at some point, Bears fans were like, guys, you know where the ball is going. You know where it's going because he's caught 6 passes in a row. So somebody fucking defend him. I don't think that shit happens if Jaylon Johnson's on the field. I don't.
No, you just put him on there. Or you put Kyler on there if Kyler's healthy. But yeah, you're 100% correct.
Both of them. I think they're both equally as important in this defense going into 2026 season.
And I want to stress this too. Everyone also knows my infatuation with Kyler Gordon, and I wish he could stay on the field. He's my favorite Bear, and I wish him the best. And hopefully, I think all Bears fans would love to see him on, 14, 15 games on the field this year. I don't know. Everyone has all these high hopes for Malik Muhammad, and I'm not saying Malik Muhammad's going to be a bad player, but rookies at that position, it's not like it's so common that they come out and they're all pros in their first year. They have misses. They have a learning curve. And they're going to have to also adapt to Dennis Allen's defense, which we talked about on Monday, isn't the easiest to learn. I do think Malik Muhammad's a very talented player, and I thought it was a solid draft pick by the Bears. And everyone's like, well, we're just going to put Malik Muhammad in the slot, and we won't miss Kyler Gordon. Yes, you will. Yes, you guys, you will.
The best case scenario for this team is Jaylon Johnson and Kyler Gordon stay healthy all season. Tyreek Stephen plays the best he's played since being drafted, and Malik Muhammad gets to play sparingly and learn on the job. That is the best case scenario for the Bears. Because Sean, you're right. Yes. If Tyreek Stevenson can't get his head out of his ass, if Kyler Gordon gets hurt and Malik Muhammad comes in and plays, listen, he's going to grow. He's going to get better, but there's going to be some growing pains, and it's going to suck sometimes for Bears fans. And Bears fans are going to get frustrated with him, and that's just part of learning the NFL game. The game has to slow down for you, man. You're not playing with boys anymore. You're playing with men, all grown men. Justin Jefferson is not like the receivers and Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb. These are not the receivers he was playing against in college. Maybe sparingly every once in a while he'd see a guy like that, but when you're in the NFL, every day you get a guy like that, every single day. So yeah, the best case scenario for me, guys, is let Malik Muhammad sit on the bench and learn and groom him. And then during, like, say, week 6, 7, 8, when you feel like he's more comfortable, get him some plays here and there. But the best case scenario is for Jaylon Johnson, Kyler Gordon to stay healthy, and for Tyreek Stevens to have the best year he's ever had.
Do you guys remember when they drafted Kyle Fuller? And everyone's like, this guy sucks. Get him out of here, because there was a learning curve for him and he had to adjust. And it took, 2 years for him to become the player that
I like Fuller.
He drafted. He became a Pro Bowler, but he had to adjust to the league. It's the same thing with Kyler Gordon. When Kyler Gordon first got here, everyone was like, this guy sucks. First off, they played him out of position when he first got to the NFL, and he was giving up long touchdowns.
He was playing with a broken hand.
Yeah, he played with a broken hand. But again, when it comes to that position, there's a big-time learning curve, and that's just why I'm saying buyer beware. I'm not saying Malik Muhammad's a bad player, and maybe we get the Cooper DeJean luck, and he comes out and he shows out in his first year.
Dude, Sean, Cooper DeJean's first 8 weeks were not
right. It took him a little while.
Not great. Like, and listen,
took him a little while. 2
things. A, please don't ever bring up Kyle Fuller again, because I love him, but that he was the pick after Aaron Donald. If you guys remember, that crushed my soul that the Rams took Donald before the Bears picked. And B, man, I mean, if you guys remember, I think it was at the Pro Bowl game, a reporter went around and asked every single player. He was just walking up to random players, and he's like, hardest position of football. Guys, 96% of them were like corner. They have to do everything backwards. They basically are playing the same game as the receivers, but they're playing it backwards. Like, they're like, cornerback is by far the toughest position in all of the NFL. And
You're running backwards against dudes that are running 4-4.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, playing football, watching football, I can't disagree. I think cornerback is probably the toughest, maybe outside of quarterback, because the entire team is depending on you. But in terms of being physically gifted, I think cornerback is a damn. First of all, the receiver knows where he's going. You don't. You just have to guess and follow and stay attached to him. I think corner is tough, and I think the best case scenario, I'll say it again for one last time, is if Malik Muhammad could just sit on the bench for 6 weeks, man, and they don't need him, and they're not depending on him in any way, shape, or form. And to be honest with you guys, I think if there is an injury in this cornerback room, I think you'll see Terrell Smith before you see Malik Muhammad.
It's an interesting camp battle. It's going to be an interesting camp battle to see if Terrell Smith. I like Terrell Smith too, but these guys that are drafted by this regime, they're going to want him to show up and show out. So I honestly think, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, camp battles. I think there's a lot of interesting camp battles for the Bears this year. I think this is going to be a fun training camp. And kind of like you were saying with the defensive ends having that competition. Oh, you got a sack? No, I got to go get a sack. I think you might see a lot of that from these positions, and maybe the running back room, especially some of these kids like Britton Brown and Bennett pushing, Roschon to be better. I like the competition. I like what they've done with this roster. I like the versatility on this roster. I think the Bears did get better from last year. How much better? That remains to be seen. I think the offense is going to be more efficient. I do believe that. And just having Zach Pearson on the show on Monday, where he said, he's watching it, and it's not like I got to process this now. It's boom. They got it. They're moving. It's in motion. And the Bears, I think, especially to start the season when we open against Carolina and Minnesota, I think that offense might be ahead of both of those defenses. And now Carolina played really good at home last year. So that's an interesting test for the Bears to open the season. They're a pretty damn good road team, and that defense got better through the year. So, and I'm a huge Dave Canales fan. So that's an interesting opener for me for the Bears. I know Bryce Young is who Bryce Young is.
The offense is certainly going to have its struggles, because that Panthers defense is better than people give credit for. It really is.
100%.
And they're fundamentally sound. There may not be a bunch of stars over the field on the Panthers defense, but they play damn good football. Fundamentally sound.
They're coached well.
The problem I have, no disrespect to Panthers fans, I just feel like it's almost inevitable that Bryce Young is going to give you the ball a couple times, and if you give Caleb enough time, you keep giving him opportunities. Sooner or later, he is going to take that ball and shove it down your throat. And I think the Bears are just a better team than the Panthers. And, usually, outside of the home field advantage, because that does make things interesting.
Yeah.
But usually, the better team wins.
I was more or less speaking of the offense versus a good defense. Like, I don't know that Carolina's like top 5, but they could very well be in the top 15. And I think to open the season,
I think they're in top 10.
That's a great test for the Bears.
I think they're in the top. I think that defense.
You think they're in the top? Okay, that's fair. Like I said, I just think for this offense, we think it's going to be so great. I think that it's a really good test to open the season. And again, Minnesota division game, they're always going to play it tough. And then you go right into Philadelphia, another tough defense. So the first 3 games are really going to test
Ben Johnson,
how much approved
Ben Johnson. It's going to test Ben Johnson because he is the 100%. Orchestrator, man. He's the magician. He's the guy that has to create these plays that are like, hey, no matter how good these defenses are, they can't stop Caleb Williams and the Bears. And real quick, guys, Jerry is Craven. You've been here before, right? Jerry's been here before.
I don't know, but we're going to give
him we're going to give you a round of applause anyway. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jerry. Week 1 is always weird, man. It's always weird. Actually, it's not even week 1. You guys remember we talked about this on the podcast last year. It's the first 3 weeks that are always weird. Like the Bears started out 0-2, and Bears fans were like out. They were like, "All right, I'm done.
We're done."
Bears give up the lead to the preseason anymore. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, they're not calloused up. We've had Doug Plank. We've talked to Doug Plank numerous times, guys, on a sister podcast we used to work for. The guy has said it a million times. These guys just don't get calloused up anymore, so they're not ready for the regular season. They're not, and now they're asking them to play more games. They're not even letting them get used to NFL football, the physicality of it. And now they're asking them to play more games. And it sounds very much like in 2027 we're going to be looking at 18 game season. There better be 2 bye weeks. These guys
they should, just for player safety and health.
Did you guys hear who was the defensive lineman with 3 names on the Ravens for a long time? Kyle Van Ness, was that his name, or Van Noy? Whatever his name was. He was on 670 the score, and they were like, "What do you consider your healthiest year going to the playoffs? Healthiest year you ever had going to the playoffs?" He's like, "I had 2 sprained wrists and a partially ruptured spleen." I'm like, "That's the healthiest? That's the healthiest you've been going to the playoffs?" Like, they're gladiators, man. But I agree with Jerry, man. That week 1 scares it doesn't matter who the Bears are playing. It does not matter. Remember when they played the Titans? And we're like, we're going to beat the shit out of this Titans team. If it wasn't for Will Levis giving us the ball like 5 times, the Bears would have certainly lost that game. It's week 1 is always strange. You never know who's going to be ahead of who. You never know what to expect from the other team. Like Jason, you talked about earlier. Ben Johnson said, I change my playbook up every year. This is not, we do not want to be, we don't want to become predictable. We want to be the same team we were last year. It's the plays we loved last year, the ones we fell in love with, and we used the most often. Those are going to be all new plays.
Because I think he caters the offense to what they're doing that year, who they're playing. Like when he was asked, "Oh, well, what do you think about the Rams and their defense?" Why would he care? He's not playing the Rams. He doesn't care about the Rams. He'll care about them in the playoffs, I'm sure. But why care about them in the middle of the season? You're not ever going to see them, so there's no need to really concern yourself with. You have 17 other games you got to worry about. So
yeah, I think the last thing Ben Johnson's worried about is Myles Garrett going to the Rams. I don't think he really gives a shit, to be honest with you. I think he's like, guys, I got to worry about the Panthers and the Eagles and the Vikings and everybody else before we even get there. So.
And Jerry's he said he's looking like he's gonna be going to game 1. Congratulations.
Badass.
I will tell you this though. As much as we're worried about the Bears defense, there's a lot that they have to prepare for in Carolina to prepare for Ben Johnson. So, and what the Bears are going to get out there, because let's be honest, if Rome's healthy, Burton's healthy, Loveland's healthy, Swift's healthy, Jesus Christ, man. And then you don't know what you're going to get out of Xavier Thomas, where you're going to be plugging him in. Like, it's going to be very difficult to predict what the Bears are going to do. So it's going to be tough from week to week.
Yeah, on top of that, you guys, I think we all agree that near the end of the season, Colston Loveland was amazing, right? Like the guy was almost unstoppable. He was an absolute machine in the playoffs. Jason, you just said he only played 2 games. He didn't even finish the second one, and he still led all tight ends and catches and receiving yards. And did you hear Ben Johnson saying his presser, like, yeah, and Loveland's route tree is really growing. He's getting more like, dude, what this guy's going to be? Travis Kelce and a healthy Darren Waller and Tony Gonzalez combined. Like this guy's going to be a freak of nature, man.
So, dude, he lined up, I think, wide on 19.3% of his snaps. The highest rate among tight ends with at least 500 snaps. So they're literally, there's no mistake about it. He's a wide receiver type tight end, and that's how he's going to get used.
Yeah, and I've said it on this podcast many times. He's just too big for corners, and he's too fast for linebackers. So it's just so tough to cover. I mean, half the team had a chance to tackle him against the Bengals, and he still ran a 50-whatever yard touchdown in for the game-winning score. He's a freak, man. I'm so excited to watch this Bears offense. The defense is going to be interesting, too, because you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And we're going to turn this page over to one Dennis Allen, a guy that, unless you guys have anything left you want to talk about here.
No, I think speaking of Ben Johnson and the defense, Sean, obviously you have some pressure news for us. He said he's probably going to be more involved on that side of the ball. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, Ben Johnson just basically came out and said that he's going to be more active in the defensive room this year. He's going to be sitting in a lot more and putting some input into it, I would imagine. And I'm personally not taking it as he's worried about Dennis Allen. I think for me, it's him trying to expand himself as a coach, become a more well-rounded coach, understand both sides of the ball a little bit better. And I understand as a great play caller, you have to understand defenses. But there's other nuances and things that he probably doesn't get or doesn't understand yet that he wants to learn, and this might be the basis. Because when you look at Dennis Allen as a whole in a nutshell, and Kyle's got some great statistics on him, but when you look at the Saints, who before Dennis Allen was there as their defensive play caller, were routinely ranked in the bottom of the NFL, 28th to 31st in consecutive seasons in yards allowed, points allowed. Then you bring this guy in. He developed a great unit out there, developed stars like Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis. You drafted Trey Hendrickson. He does have, a good eye for talent. I personally believe the Saints turned it around and were consistently ranked near the top of the league in points allowed, run defense, sacks, and takeaways from 2017 to 2021. And I did not look this up before the show, but I'm almost pretty positive that the Saints hold the NFL record for most consecutive games under Dennis Allen without allowing a 100-yard rusher. This guy knows defense, and when he came to the Bears, he didn't have his defensive parts here. So it's like anything. You have to plant the seed and watch it grow. He had to figure out what he had. He had to get rid of some parts. So now he added in some new parts, some versatile parts, like a Kobe Bryant, like a Devin Bush, drafting Dylan Finneman. These are the things, because what is Dennis Allen known for the most? He's known for developing secondaries. He's a huge secondary developer throughout his career. He disguises his coverage. He loves versatile safeties, which now he has 2 in the backfield. We talked about it on Monday. Depth behind him, a little bit scary. But to start the season, to have Bryant and Thieneman who can, be versatile, switch roles, I think that really helps him. He gives you aggressive pressure packages. And he has game plan flexibility from week to week. There's a lot to love about Dennis Allen. I don't think that this was a signal when he said, I'm going to spend more time there, that Dennis Allen, to me, is on the hot seat. I don't know where you guys are with it, but I am certainly not one that's going to say after a year, Dennis Allen should be on the hot seat for a guy who has a history of developing top-notch defenses in the NFL.
I will tell you this, and I'll let Kyle chime in. I don't know, Kyle, I don't know if you're going to show that one stat from 23 or not or whatever, but here's what my feeling of Ben Johnson is. I think if he's your boss, which essentially he is for the team, right, you're always going to feel like you're on the hot seat, but that's his job. He doesn't want you to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So when he's criticizing his defensive coordinator, I think if he was really truly unhappy with him, he wouldn't be the defensive coordinator. I also think that stat about him developing secondaries is extremely poignant. In a passing league, in a passing-driven league, Ben Johnson chose a defensive coordinator who likes pass defenders. Wow, crazy! But I think Ben Johnson's one of his strengths might be identifying weaknesses, addressing them, and getting them fixed. It's problem solving is a big part of being a leader, right? It's the problems are going to come whether you want them to or not. It's how you handle them. And it looks like Dennis Allen is taking it in stride. He's not like crying. He's not bitching and moaning about it. He's like, yeah, we do need to get better. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus more on technique, not necessarily scheme. Defensive schemes don't really change. There's, like 3 or 4 base defenses that you're basically going to run, and, you can disguise things, and that's maybe where the difficulty comes in. But defenses generally come along faster than offenses because they're just simply not that complicated as an offense is. So I think this year should improve. I think our staff has actually improved. Still a lot of room to grow on the defense. I think we're all right with a 15 level, mid-level. That's middle of the league, guys. Middle of the league defense. But it's such a huge jump from 28th, where they were before, that you're going to see marketable improvement. They're not going to show up on records. They probably won't break any records this year, sack records, turnovers, any of that. But we don't need them to. We just need them to basically hold defenders or hold the other team to 20 points, and we're going to win a lot of games. I think that's basically their game plan. Don't let them, I know it sounds stupid, right? Don't let them score more points than you. But I think if you hold them to 20, the Bears are very capable of scoring 30 or more points every week. Kyle?
And really quick, Kyle, before you go, breaking news from Chicago, 4-Star Chicago Sports. It's a baseball nugget.
Oh.
Matthew Boyd has re-injured himself, and his return this Saturday has been officially called off with a shoulder issue. More news to come, but the hits just keep on coming for the Northsiders. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, please.
Erica will love that one.
Feel free to chime in when you want, because this is going to get kind of lengthy here. But
right.
When it comes to Dennis Allen, first and foremost, I don't think Ben Johnson putting his fingerprints on the defense or being more involved in the defensive meetings is in any way, shape, or form a sign that Dennis Allen is on the hot seat. I think, if anything, Ben Johnson was overwhelmed in year one, first time being a head coach. He didn't really know exactly how it worked. I think that's why he surrounded himself with guys like Ben Johnson, Eric Bieniemy, ex-head coaches, guys he could lean on. And now that he's a little bit more comfortable, I think he's probably expanding his horizons a little bit, because at the end of the day, by the time it's all said and done, I think he probably wants to be the best head coach in football. And I think that means yeah, and I think that means he has to be involved in every single facet of the game, special teams, defense, offense. I think he's just trying to learn new experiences, man. I think that's why he's in these defensive rooms. I bet you if Ben Johnson in those rooms won't say a word. I bet you he's just going to sit there and watch what Dennis Allen's doing. First and foremost, let me say that I like Dennis Allen a lot. I think it was a great hire by the Chicago Bears. If you guys remember, Ben Johnson had Dennis Allen lined up as defensive coordinator before he even accepted the Bears job. It was the first person he called. I think he has a lot of respect for him. I think he still has a lot of respect for him. I'm not saying that Dennis Allen is the best defensive coordinator in football. I've never said that. But, it's like everybody thinks that Vic Fangio and Steve Spagnuolo are just available every year and you can just go sign them away from the Chiefs. Like, that's not how it works, guys. Those guys don't grow on trees. The reason those guys are so sought after is because they're the best in the game, and it's very rare that you get a chance to sign one of those guys. But if you're talking about like best available, I think Dennis Allen was certainly that when the Bears hired him, and I still think he's a top 10 defensive coordinator in the NFL. And if all these Bears fans who are like, fire him, Jason and I were talking about this before the show. If you fire him, you got to start from scratch. If you bring a new defensive coordinator in here, that defensive coordinator needs to be able to go get his roster. He needs to build his roster, go get his players. So you're going to be starting from scratch. I liked what the Bears have done in the offseason. I think they've given him I don't think it's a complete finished product. I don't think Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't rebuild an entire defense in one offseason. I think there's a lot of roster turnover happening right now. I think a lot of the guys that were here with Matt Eberflus, Dennis Allen wasn't particularly a big fan of, or they just didn't fit his scheme, and he's trying to turn over the roster so that better fits what he does. It's going to take some time, but first and foremost, let's talk about some of the deficiencies of the Chicago Bears defense last year. And Sean, I don't know if you made for the games missed a graphic, but people are so quick to judge this Bears defense last year and say, oh, they're terrible. All the talent sucks. They're awful. Ryan Poles last year in 2025 spent $126 million on this defense. That was 4th overall in the NFL. And they were one of the worst defenses. They were 29th in pass defense, 24th in run defense. You guys look at this chart. Look at this graphic right here. 104 total games missed by their starters or role players. And that's not even including the backups. So the backups, a lot of the backups I didn't even put in here, 104 total missed games. And by the way, I was just trying to be like some of these games. It says Austin Booker missed 7 games. Deo Abadango missed 9 games. Like it should be 10 games because I think Deo played 4 snaps before he tore his ACL in that game. Right. So that's 10 games. So I even went with the lower number. But look at this. Look at this. People are like, oh, you spent $126 million on this defense and they sucked. Well, you want to see your $126 million? Kyler Gordon, 3 years, $40 million deal, 14 games missed. Deo, 3 years, $48 million dealer, 9 games missed. Jaylon Johnson, 4 years, $76 million deal, 10 games missed. Tremaine Edmonds, 4 years, $72 million deal, 4 games missed. TJ Edwards, 2 years, $20 million deal, 7 games missed. Grady Jarrett, 3 years, $43.5 million contract, 3 games missed. Look at the rookie contracts. Austin Booker on a rookie contract, missed 7 games. Noah Sewell missed 4 games. Shamar Turner missed 12 games. Terrell Smith and Zay Frazier never played a single snap. And then when these guys started dropping like flies in training camp, it was on Dennis Allen to try to replace them, and he went and got guys like Nahshon Wright, DeMarco Jackson, who Bears fans by all accounts loved.
Pretty darn good.
They thought they filled in admirably for them. I think Dennis Allen did the best last year with what he had. Do you guys disagree with that?
Chicken salad out of chicken shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, the Bears fans are like, oh, this terrible, all these players you signed, all this money, and the Bears defense sucks. Well, dude, they didn't play. The guys that Ryan Poles signed all that money were never on the field. They weren't on the field. So how is Dennis? I've used this euphemism a million times. It's like asking a carpenter to build a house, and he's like, all right, where are my table saws? No, you get a screwdriver and a nail. Now go build that house. Like, it's not possible. Dennis Allen was shorthanded everywhere on the field, the cornerback room, the linebacker room, the defensive line room, everywhere. And he made do with what he had. And I think that's why there was such an emphasis on turnovers, because they didn't have the guys.
What else did they do? Yeah.
Nahshon Wright's not a shutdown corner. So it's like, Nahshon, we know you're going to give up 100 yards a game, but could you pick off a couple passes for us too while you're at it? Like, I think it was best case scenario for this defense last year. I think that's why they won a ton of games, because they managed to turn the ball over. And that's the only thing they had going for them, because at the end of the day, the talent just wasn't on the field. And I want to get real quick, guys. I'm going to read this before. Do you guys have anything to say to that? Do you disagree with me?
I agree 100%.
I've emphasized the injuries, Kyle, too, and not putting Dennis Allen under the microscope when you don't have your full repertoire of players that you counted on. Who was the first player that Dennis Allen said he was excited to coach?
Kyler Gordon,
and the guy who missed 14 games.
Yeah. He also
guys, let's think of it this way: the offense. Let's say Caleb Williams is still there. Obviously, if he's not, it's going to suck, right? But he's still there. But Colson Loveland isn't there. Luther Burden isn't there. Yeah. Joe Tooney isn't there. DeAndre Swift isn't there. What does the offense look like now?
Yeah, it looks like shit. Even with Ben Johnson, one of the best play callers in all of the NFL, it's going to look like shit. I mean, Sean, you've said it a million times. You're only as good as your weakest link. Let's face it, the Bears didn't have a lot of depth last year. They didn't. And even their depth, we heard Dennis Allen say in the offseason, we really liked Terrell Smith. He's been really good since I've been here. Gone. Even their depth was gone. They literally started relying on guys. Did you guys know who Nick McLeod was before he put on the Bears uniform? I didn't. I have never heard of that guy. Who is that?
I really
guy?
don't want him to make the team this year.
And then you're signing guys like CJ Gardner Johnson. The Bears fans are getting excited about him. I'm like, guys, the last 2 years, this guy sucked. He's been terrible, awful. He's been kicked off of teams. He's garbage. Real quick,
he was what we had. What are you going to do? You got to put somebody in there. You got to play 11.
I think for the situation the Bears were in terms of injuries, and in terms of the fact that I'm not going to sit here and say that Ryan Poles has not signed bad contracts, because he has. But whether you like it or not, Dennis Allen was. This is the roster he was given when he wasn't like, he didn't ask for Montez Sweat. He didn't ask for any of the guys we've talked about over the last 2 years. He didn't ask for any of these guys. He got here, and this is the roster he was given. I think throughout the season he addressed it, and he's like, all right, I know the changes I need to make to run my scheme. And I think that's that happened in this last offseason. That's when they went and signed those 3 defensive tackle free agents, because he came out and said, we don't really love any of the defensive tackles in this draft. He went and got his safeties. A lot of people thought they were going to re-sign at least Brisker and or Byard. One of them was going to be here. He didn't. He turned over the safety room completely. He drafted Dylan Thieneman and he went and got Kobe Bryant from the Seahawks.
Pretty good move, by the way.
Here we all are like Bears fans, like, well, Kevin Byard signed for $9 million, Jaquan Brisker for $5 million, and you couldn't bring him here. He didn't want him here. That's why they're not here. If you wanted him here, they'd be here. They didn't fit. Sean, you said it earlier in the show. With these two guys in the backfield now, there's much more adversity. Like, you don't know what the Bears are going to do because they could both play multiple positions. And I think that's how Dennis Allen makes a living. Real quick, I want to read this. It's going to be a little lengthy here, but Steve Patton wrote an article in 2024. This was after the 2023 season in regards to Dennis Allen and his play calling. He said, it's validating to see information like this plotted out to highlights Allen's best qualities. NFL analyst Steve Patton ranked every defensive play caller for 2023 season based on what he calls coverage and market efficiency with team constraints, which examines how each defense performed relative to absences for injuries and or suspensions and quality of opposition, among other factors like roster makeup. Allen came out on top. You don't need to invent new metrics to see why. He fielded the league's fourth best defense on third downs, allowing a conversion of just 34.5% of downs, and the third best unit on fourth downs, 42.3% of fourth downs. His opponents going 11 for 26 in that department. Despite getting little production from his pass rush, does it sound familiar, guys? Despite getting a little production from his pass rush, the Saints finished with the NFL's second lowest pressure rate, 15.1%, and fourth worst sack rate, 5.7%. Allen's secondary held up even with Marshawn Lattimore missing 7 games to an injury. They allowed the 10th fewest passing yards per game and tied for the third most interceptions at 18. This is a guy who, to me, it seems like everywhere he's ever been has made do with what he has. And I think if you ever gave Dennis Allen a really, really good defense, like the Eagles defensive roster right now, I think he would probably be in the best defensive coordinator in the NFL conversation. The fact of the matter is, go look at those New Orleans Saints teams when Dennis Allen was there. He's never had superstars. Every team he's ever been on, he's had like 2 or 3. Even
he's
when
made some though.
Yeah, even when he drafted Trey Hendrickson was terrible his first 2 years. Now, eventually he became a stud, and I think you're seeing that happen with Austin Booker right now under Dennis Allen. I think you're seeing the same trajectory, and same as Max Crosby, right? Some of these guys just aren't bona fide studs when they get out of college, or that adjustment period, or they have to add 5 or 8 more pounds, or whatever it is. And now we've seen Austin Booker add 10 plus pounds back-to-back off seasons. To play in Dennis Allen's scheme, he obviously told Austin, like, hey, I like where you're at. I like the traits. I like the athleticism, but you got to get a little bit bigger because this scheme's a little bit different. You're going to have to move inside, outside. Look at Shamar Turner, drafted as a defensive tackle. Dennis Allen gets his hands on him and he goes, you know what? This guy's more of a defensive end. He's not a defensive tackle. I think he just needs time. And you know what? There's still going to be some growing pains for this team still, especially when you talk about guys like Jordan Vandenberg, a 6th-round pick. I think Vandenberg has all the athletic attributes. You look at the RAS score, obviously, but it's going to take time. And real quick, before I just turn it over to you, Sean. And when Dennis Allen got to the New Orleans Saints in 2015, their first season, with him there as defensive coordinator, they were ranked 32nd in points per game and 31 in yards per game allowed. 32nd and 31. So by all accounts, that was the worst defense in the NFL. Correct? Do you guys agree with that? I mean, the only way you get worse if you were 32nd in both categories. In 2016, his second year as defense coordinator, still 31st in points per game. So he got 1 spot better in points per game and 27th in yards per game. So he got 4 spots better in yards per game. Then you get into 2017. And this is when Dennis Allen finally started to get the players he wanted in the building. 2017, they went from 31st in points per game to 10th in points per game allowed. They went from 27th in yards per game to 17th in yards per game allowed. 2018, he improved again from 17th in yards per game allowed to 14th in points per game allowed and 11th in points per game. So he did move back 1 spot in points per game, but realistically, what does that matter, right? You're never going to land on the same exact spot every year. There's always going to be some fluctuating. 2019, 13th in points per game, 11th in yards per game, and then 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023, guys, top 10 in every statistical category for defense. And then in 2023, late in the season in 2024, when he was the head coach of the Saints, all those numbers fell off again. And we all agree none of us have ever argued that Dennis Allen is a good head coach, right? None of us have ever said that. No. Obviously not. He failed as a head coach. He would still maybe be he's not. Coach. Maybe he's not a good leader of men. But when you look at the defensive coordinator numbers, he is a magician. I mean, he literally turned the shittiest defense in the NFL into 2 or 3 years. They became a top 10 defense in almost every category. And people are like, oh, well, He's no Steve Spagnuolo or Vic Fangio. Guys, I don't know if you remember or not, but Vic Fangio and Steve Spagnuolo were failed head coaches too. Steve Spagnuolo had a record of 12 and 44 as a head coach, and Vic Fangio 19 and 30. And you know what? When I saw that number, 19 and 30, I remember it being a lot worse in Denver when Vic Fangio was there. No disrespect to him at all, because I love Vic Fangio, and I was really sad when he left the Bears. But I'm just saying, and I know this is getting really lengthy and it's a run on, but give Dennis Allen some time. Like, the guy came to a team that really didn't have all that many stars on it, outside of Jaylon Johnson, Kyler Gordon, who were hurt most of the year, right? So the only thing he really had left was Montez Sweat. He's trying to teach a bunch of young guys like Austin Booker and Nashawn Wright and Nick McLeod how to get better, how to slow the game down, how to adjust. It's just, I think it was like a perfect storm, right? It was like a comedy of errors. The Bears the defense couldn't. It's like the same thing we're talking about with the Cubs right now. They just can't get out of their own way. Every day it's like, oh, that's what happened to the Cubs today. I think that's what happened with the Bears defense last year. And if they can find a way this year to stay any bit healthy at all, if Kyler Gordon could give you 10 games, if Jaylon Johnson can give you 14, I think you're looking at if Austin Booker improves in any way, shape, or form, I think you're looking at a completely different defense, and you have to give credit where credit is due, and that's going to be on Dennis Allen's shoulders.
And I wanted to make a quick correction, because the Cleveland Browns hold the longest streak for most consecutive games without giving up a 100-yard rusher. Dennis Allen's defense are the only ones to do it in the modern era of football. The Cleveland Browns were 51-55. The Eagles were close post-merger, 89-92 at 53 games. The Rams fearsome foursome back in the 60s at 51 straight games. And then you go down to Dennis Allen from 2017 to 2020. 3 freaking years, his defenses did not allow a single 100-yard rusher. That is nuts, dude, when you think about it in today's football. Like,
yeah, you know what's really crazy about Dennis Allen, Sean? When I was looking at the metrics today, he's never been like top 10 consistently in the NFL in rushing yards allowed. But for some reason, and I'm assuming this has to do something with his scheme, he's always top 10 in rush attempts from the other team. So I think what he's doing is stacking the box and making it look like the box is stacked. And these teams are audibling, and they're getting out of these run plays and changing to a pass. And then he drops everybody back into coverage. And I think that's why his team has been so good at taking the ball away and have had such good pass defenses, because once again, I mean, his time in New Orleans, they allowed like 4.3 yards per carry, which is certainly not in the top half of the NFL, but they only attempted like 17 runs a game against him. So it's something he's doing. It's something he's designing that's preventing these teams from rushing the ball a ton. And however you have to get the job done, whether it's because they're not running the ball a lot or because they're not very efficient at it, as long as he doesn't allow a 100-yard rusher, I don't give a shit. I don't care how he does it. I could care less. Just
Sean, Mikey's got a question for you.
Yeah, the foot's not good, Mikey. I'm really struggling with recovery here. It blown up like a balloon still. I'm very frustrated. And my patience has run out with this recovery time. So we will see. I'm calling the doctor actually tomorrow, because my foot for the last 2 days has been really big, and I can't figure out what the hell is going on. So thanks for checking in, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I know there's a lot to take in there, but at the end of the day, guys, I don't believe Dennis Allen's seat is hot in any way, shape, or form, and I don't believe it should be, because I think the worst thing the Bears could do in this situation, even if they're not top 15 in every category defensively this year, is to burn it down and restart. I think you're setting yourself back
100%.
I think that would be an absolute disaster.
Here, Kyle, too, for what Dennis Allen does, and like, to disguise, he disguises his coverages, uses these aggressive pressure packages and things of that. He's a great strategic play caller, I believe personally. Again,
Sean, do you have the chart? Did you put the chart up? I mean,
I did for a minute.
The best play caller in the NFL in 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you guys, it's not by a little, it's by a lot. And
I just think, like, these pieces, the Devin Bushes, the Kobe Bryants, the Thinemans, I think these are the pieces that he said, hey man, we can flip this defense. And again, like you stated, Kyle, he doesn't get these big, guys like Chris Jones up the middle of defensive tackles. He uses rotations, versatile pieces that fit his scheme. And I think that's what he handpicked. Nevin Gallimore, Street, Lynch. I think these guys, no pun intended, will be the linchpin in the middle of that defense this year in a rotation. And as Jay brought up last week and again this week, you don't need 15 sacks out of one guy in the middle. You don't need that Chris Jones who gets 12.5 to 14 sacks up the middle. You're going to have a cohesive unit that gets you 8 to 10 sacks out of the middle, consistently gets pressure, blows plays up, and you got these edge rushers and Sweat and Booker bringing pressure off the edge. The secondary doesn't have as long. I'm really excited to see this defense this year because I just think there's so many different parts that could be really, really good under Dennis Allen's tutelage. And again, moving from this right here where they were the bottom of everything. And again, like Kyle stated, this had a lot to do with the injuries and not having the versatile pieces that you needed last year. I just think that you're going to see all these numbers flip on their head and maybe not be top 10, but just draw even to the middle, which should keep the Bears in contention for the division title, keep them in the playoff hunt, and moving on in the playoffs possibly as well. And that's just my personal opinion. I trust Dennis Allen a lot.
I think
really
so.
do.
Right.
I got a stat here for you guys. A couple about Gordon, tie in Gordon and the run defense, right?
Mhm.
With Gordon in, the Bears ranked 4th in the NFL in defense success rate against the run. Without Gordon, the defense fell to 27th in the league in success run rate. With him in the lineup, the defense allowed an expected points added EPA per play of minus 0.31. Without him, that number jumped to plus 0.03. That's actually pretty significant jump.
Yeah, it's flipping it.
So we all say how important Kyle Gordon is to be on the field. If that stat doesn't show it, really, if what that nickelback is doing, obviously a lot of times they're covering the slot, but they're also another run defender in the box that can be disguised. And I think that's why Dennis Allen liked him, because I don't think he's ever had a Kyle Gordon before. So hopefully we can turn Muhammad into that, because eventually we're going to have to eventually move on from Gordon at some point in time, right? Eventually
he can't stay on the field.
But if he can't stay on the field and he's healthy, that run defense literally 27th worst to 4th best.
And too, it's been emphasized, and it was emphasized today again, as I was listening to sports radio and some of these podcasts from some of these Bears beat reporters, is with Kyler Gordon, we went over this last week, that trust level is still not there. And that's something that he has to also harness and garner with Ben Johnson, because Ben Johnson is out on the podium like, hey man, I don't trust this guy. I just, it's not there. I don't even know this guy. He hasn't been around the team. We know how important he is. And I think Ben Johnson knows, Dennis Allen knows, but it's Kyler Gordon's body and Kyler Gordon. And I think kind of the things he was saying was, you watched your teammate Jaylon Johnson try and play through injury. You watched Montez Sweat play through injury. You watched this guy play through injury, and you're just sitting out, bro. You're not here with us. You're not here with the team. And I think that's more or less what he's getting out in these press conferences. Trust factor. You're not
Take
putting
care of your body better. Stay on the field.
Yeah, he's not putting it on the line for his teammates. And that's, I think I think that's what Ben Johnson's saying. I don't know how you guys are taking it, but that's kind of like, hey man, when he's mentioning other players who are playing through injury and saying, hey bro, you won't do this like these guys will. I can't trust you to be part of this football team. It breaks my heart. It really does break my heart, man.
Was Kyler Gordon injured a ton in college?
I was thinking about that earlier, but I didn't look it up. I can look it up.
Let's find out.
Yeah, Washington, right? Washington? Where did he play?
Yeah.
Washington. I don't remember when they drafted him. I don't remember people saying this guy's like super injury prone in any way, shape, or form. Maybe this is just a freak accident. Like I don't know. Just maybe he'll finish the rest of his career without sustaining a single injury. But
he didn't miss any significant time. He played 33 games, which looks like he played at every game in college.
Redshirted his 2018 season. That's not injury related.
It's heartbreaking because I could make an argument that Kyler Gordon, and I'm not saying he's a better player, but I could make an argument that Kyler Gordon is more important in this defense than Mike Brown was to the Bears defense in the early 2000s when he was missing a ton of time and they looked like a completely different defense every time he was off the field. But nowadays, guys, that nickel position is just so important. You just talked about it. He could drop back at a safety. He could play outside linebacker. Basically, he can play. He could spy. He can play nickel. He can drop in. He could move to the outside. They do everything. And when you have a guy like that versatile chess piece, Sean, like you always say, the offense never knows what he's doing. And I think that's why Dennis Allen brought his name up specifically when he was talking about being excited about being the Chicago Bears defense coordinator. I think the reason he brought up Kyler Gordon's name is because he's that new age Brian Branch, that Nicky Benwari. Like, man, this guy's so athletic. We could put him wherever the hell we want, and he will do the job. So beware of NFL offenses. You never know where he's coming from. You never know what he's doing. And the fact that his size, he is so impressive as a run defender, man, is just, it's even more. I absolutely love Kyler Gordon. It's heartbreaking. He's one of my favorite players on the Bears. It just sucks because it's getting old. I understand where Ben Johnson's coming from.
I'll say this. Just remember, and because it's still early June, what's June 10th? Remember last year, everyone was like, Matthew Stafford can't walk. This guy needs a cane. We don't even one hit, and he's out for the year.
MVP.
And MVP. So all I'm saying is it's June, and I know the history's not great, especially when we go back to last year. But when we got him back against the Packers in the playoffs, and we had him against the Rams, you saw the difference he made on the football field. I'm just saying, just beware right now. And, Ben Johnson's, adding some sticks to the fire right now in his pressers, but that's Ben Johnson. We got to get used to that, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Spark a fire, because us as Bears fans, us on this panel, our intelligent chat, we all know how important this guy is to this football team. And if this defense is going to take that step up, that guy has to be on the field for a greater part of the season. And,
and Sean, maybe if Jaylon Johnson stays healthy and Terrell Smith stays healthy and Malik Muhammad picks the league up quickly, and I know it's a lot of ifs and a lot of ands, but Tyreek Stevenson plays as his best year, maybe you can kind of use Kyler as sparingly, like as a rotational piece.
You
try to keep him
healthy.
You
really want him off the field?
No, I don't. But I'd rather him on the field in the playoffs, right, than not on the field at all.
Yeah, right. If you gotta play him 2/3 the amount that you did before.
Yeah,
and 17 games.
But you're almost and you're almost guaranteeing that he's going to be there in the playoff. Like, I'm not saying it is a guarantee, but if their mindset is like, if we can give this guy some time off here and there, he's not on, especially the run plays, because you guys know how bunched up those piles get with 300-pound men. That's tough for a guy Kyler Gordon's size. If you could kind of use him a little bit more sparingly, and I'm not talking about taking him off the field completely, but you even saw it in the playoff game, Sean, when he came back against the Packers. They were keeping him out. They were keeping him out for whole quarters. He wasn't play. He did not play the first quarter. He didn't play the entire.
Yeah, and everyone thought it was bullshit. He wasn't coming back, and then all of a sudden he came back.
Yeah, it's not like he got healthy enough from the start of the first quarter to the start of the second quarter to start playing football all of a sudden. Like, they were like, hey, we gotta let's ease him back into this. Maybe if they have that mentality for the entire season, like, hey, Kyler's just not capable of playing a 7-game season at his size, his injury history. This is the guy we got to use a little bit more sparingly. I mean, if the Bears, Jason, you said it yourself, just hold your opponent 20 points a game. The Bears are going to score a lot of points, right? They're probably going to average, I'm going to guess, 28, 29 points per game this season. They were at 26 last year. You expect them to get better. Then if you can just sneak your way into the playoffs, then you add Kyler Gordon. It's like adding a free agent. It's like adding the best nickel free agent all the league in the playoffs. I'm not saying that's what they should do. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but I'm just trying to figure out a way to stop this, because it's becoming a pattern and it's heartbreaking. And you guys, we just talked about for the last hour. It is just, Jason, the stats you just brought up, it is just an entirely, completely different defense when Kyler
27 against the run
to 4th.
Successful run rate. Sorry. 27th. That's bottom. That's garbage.
Yeah.
To 4th. That is not. It's not a marginal improvement.
Yeah,
it's a vast improvement.
And if
huge improvement.
And if he plays sparingly, I'd be happy with 11th. I'll take 11th.
I'll say this against the Rams. I think it's a different ballgame if Kyler Gordon's not on the field. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he makes that much of a difference to this football team.
Another guy, and I know Justin likes Justin. Sometimes it seems like he's almost giving him all the credit, but another guy who certainly deserves some credit is DeMarco Jackson. And I think that speed was huge.
100%.
When you're playing a team like the Rams, who have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and all those three tight ends who are pretty much interchangeable. Yeah. DeMarco Jackson and Kyler Gordon, I think that's why the Bears defense and Jaylon Johnson, I think, was probably getting back to close to full health, maybe 90% in that game. I think those three guys, and that's why I brought up that's why I had you make that graphic, Sean. Like, people are so hard on Dennis Allen. We've just sat here and talked about the difference that Jaylon Johnson, Kyler Gordon, these guys make, and they weren't even on the fucking field. They weren't.
And if Brisker would have played like he did in the playoffs all year long, we might have won 15 games.
Look at that guy. 104 total missed games by your starters or role players. And this is not including guys who, like Jonathan Owens. I don't know if he missed any games, guys like that. I don't know. But just from the guys who are supposed to have significant impacts on your season, like, hey, Dennis, come to Chicago because you get Kyler Gordon and Deo and Jaylon Johnson and Grady Jarrett and Austin Booker. Look at all those games missed. Look at that shit. That's insane. That's insane.
And you know what? Like the Grady Jarrett 3 games missed doesn't bother me much. You know, an older player.
That's pretty average. That's pretty average, right?
Right.
It's
and if Kyler Gordon misses 3 games, you're probably really happy with that season.
100%.
It'd be 14.
Guys, if Kyler played 14 games this season, I would be ecstatic. I would be. I don't give a shit about 3 games. And as a matter of fact, if Kyler has like a mild ankle sprain and the Bears are like, he might be able to play next week, I'm going to be like, don't play him next week. Don't play him next week. Like, just give him the week off. Please, God, do not play him next week. Don't make that injury any worse.
To go back to that, Ben Johnson calling him out in the press conference, with the trust factor and all that stuff. I think Ben knows how important he is to his team. And it's like,
Sean, I think you're right. I think you're right about both. I think you're right about both things. First of all, I think there's validity behind that presser. I think he is.
100%.
Kyler, your time is running out. We flipped this stand, whatever. Your time is running out. And Sean, I also agree with you that I think kind of, the fact that he used his name specifically when he's talking about, I think he's like, hey man, it's time.
It's time, dude.
Your time, bro.
Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, this is it. And it's tough to sit here as a football analyst or a podcaster and say, man, why can't this guy play through his high ankle sprain? Like, what a pussy. But I think Sean, you said it yourself. Montez Sweat plays a much more physical position, and that guy was playing with a sprained ankle, a sprained wrist. He had like 6 injuries that year,
and everyone was like, "He sucks."
And you know what?
He's getting double teamed with 6 injuries, so you guy can't even walk or grip. And they're like, "Yeah, fuck that guy."
And you know what? Man. After the season, Montez mentioned them, but you guys, he never blamed his.
He never did.
His deficiencies on his injury.
He came out and said, "I'm disappointed in my season."
Yeah.
And
it was after the season, he came out and was like, yeah, that ankle was just never right, man. It just never got right. I don't know. It was frustrating because usually I'm a quicker healer, but he never in the middle of the season was like, hey, Bears fans, whoa, I don't suck. I have a sprained ankle, sprained wrist. Or like, he never did that. He just went out there every week and he got the boos and all the other shit that Bears fans do. That's annoying as hell. He just played through it. I think Kyler, if it's not something that's like,
he needs to do it.
Kyler, if it's not like something that's going to get worse when you play on it, if it's something that's just nagging, and when you guys, we've all played sports, we've all been playing in sports games. We're like, man, my shoulder kind of hurts. You just stay out there. That's just sports. That's what it is. I just told you guys that Kyle Van Noy or whatever his name was on the Ravens for a long time literally said on 670, the healthiest season I ever going to the playoffs was 2 sprained wrists and a partially ruptured spleen. Like, he's played through that shit. Like, that's like, you could die. Like, Kyler, I don't know what you got to do, man. I don't know what this guy's got to do.
Didn't Daniel Jones play with a broken leg?
Yeah, there's a couple guys.
Like a partial fracture or something like that.
Yeah, Donovan Harrison played without an MCL or ACL, whichever one it was.
Donovan McNabb played through a broken leg. There was a Ronnie Lott cut off the tip of his finger to go back in the game. Dude, listen, I understand the NFL is not the way it used to be. These guys, they're much more valuable assets. They pay them so much more money that they're like, hey, if you're banged up at all, let us know. But you guys think that there weren't times that Caleb Williams was hurting? You think there weren't times that Cole Kmet wasn't hurting? You think there weren't times that
Caleb Williams was hurting in 2024? I can tell you that.
Joe Tooney was sacked 300 times.
Yeah, you think Joe Tooney didn't have a bone bruise on him somewhere at some point in the season? Like, this shit happens. It's a physical game, and you have to accept it.
By the way, I forgot to tell you guys about this, but Chris Sims sat down with Caleb Williams. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's 30-minute interview.
But yeah,
they stood up and they started walking, passing the ball. Yeah, it's a really good interview.
it is.
And Caleb really goes out there and starts talking about those 68 sacks he took. Like he thinks about it. And then he started talking about how the game's slowing down for him. It's a really good piece with Chris Sims. It's on YouTube, guys. It's like 30 minutes long. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a really, really, really good interview.
Yeah, Mikey, that 2-year extension for Holmes was just to move money around. I mean,
It's still the same contract that he signed like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and he is the first NFL player to get over a $500 million contract, but deservingly, the guy's won 3 Super Bowls, man. like if there's one guy who's going to get it today's day and age, it's going to be the guy who's won 3 Super Bowls. Like, I hope Patrick finishes his career in Kansas City. I do. I hope he does.
Yeah, and for all the reports, he's at OTAs and he's looking okay. Like he's going to start the season, man.
Yeah.
So,
Justin Fields is like, God damn it! Like, I think there was some real belief that Justin Fields was going to start a couple games for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Is Gardner Minshew not on? Is Minshew not on the Chiefs anymore?
No, he went to the Falcons, or was not the Falcons. Okay. Who was the team that was the Cardinals? The team that was looking to trade for Tyson Bagent. That were like, you guys took Gardner Minshew over Tyson Bagent. Like, what the? I'd much rather have Tyson Bagent than Gardner Minshew.
It seems like a lot of the chat did see that Chris Sims interview. Did you see it?
Sean, I have not. I actually didn't even know it existed. I'm glad you said that because I watched the ESPN interview with Caleb Williams when he was on the cover of Madden. Yeah. I watched the podcast, the Kelsey Brothers podcast. I always look for Caleb Williams stuff. I didn't even know that existed. Nobody
watch the trailer for the Madden 27, dude. That's the best video I've ever watched.
I've watched that video. I'm not gonna lie. I think I've watched it 10 times.
I think Sean sent it to me in 4 different group chats.
I watched it before the show today.
I'm like, Cheryl, there's a red one in here. We talked about this.
I sincerely want not to take the show in a different direction, but I want that painted, that Madden cover on my wall somewhere, man. I think first of all, it's the only. I know that Roberto Garza got the Espanol Madden cover, but it's the real only Chicago Bears Madden cover of all time. And it's to me, guys. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but that's kind of his arrival. Like we all watched Caleb Williams last year. We know what he's capable of, but I think that was kind of like the rest of the world. Like, oh man, Caleb is here.
I'm going to take that post. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it into the imaging center. I'm going to remove Madden and put 4-Star Chicago Sports in the corner and then blow that shit up.
Honestly, Sean, if you got it like on, they have like that metal art, like that tin art. If you got even with the Madden on there, I think it'd be bad. Dude, there's people saying that if you buy that right now, that Madden cover, and you keep it, you don't open it, you just you buy the Madden game, and you don't even have a fucking PlayStation or Xbox or whatever. It'll be worth money. Like people are like, in 15 years, some of these Madden games are worth money. I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could. They gain value. Your boy Laro. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I haven't seen that before. So
welcome to the chat, brother. I love that. I love his thumbnail, man. That might be.
That is a good thumbnail.
Might be the best thumbnail of anybody who's ever been on here. That's DJ Moore and Caleb? It looks like.
Dude, it looks like DJ two Packer linemen blocking each other. That's way better.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Here, I'll be honest. If you want to add another person in the rotation at defensive end, bring in Darius Smith.
Yeah, he's a solid football player. I don't know what you go by. Yeah, Laro. But I think it's coming. I think the Bears have pretty much told everybody it's coming. I don't know if
they said they're looking for somebody.
I don't know if it's going to be somebody the stature of Darius Smith, but the Bears are going to sign a defensive end at some point.
I think it'll be closer to camp because they'll be cheaper.
And to be honest with you guys, I don't think it's I don't think
33 years old. It's not like he's a spring chicken.
I don't even think it's necessarily because the Bears believe their defensive end room isn't good enough. I think they're one injury away from disaster.
100%.
Unless they believe that Daniel Hardy is also becoming a badass, you better sign one more. You better sign one more.
My dog's pawing at the door. The thunder's scaring him. It's getting a little hectic around these parts. You want to come in, bud?
Is that Burden? Is that Burden on the thumbnail? I thought that looks like DJ Moore on the thumbnail. Help us out.
I think they said it's Caleb Williams and Luther Burden.
But Luther Burden, isn't that a 2?
It looks like a 2.
Am I crazy?
Maybe that's Swift is 4.
It looks like DJ Moore.
It might be the top of 0. That might be. I don't know. But Laura, help us out, man. It's a badass thumbnail, no matter what.
Yeah. No.
Hell yeah.
Dustin says Hardy already is a badass. I'm assuming he thinks he should get more playing time there. I am curious to see what Hardy would do as like a true rotational piece for the Bears, because the little sample size I've seen, I've actually been quite impressed with Hardy. And obviously you expect Shamar Turner to play a full season at defensive end. Hopefully, I think Shamar Turner is probably going to surprise Bears fans too. I don't know if Shamar Turner's got to be in this. Shamar Turner's got to be in the same conversation as Kyler Gordon now, guy. This is 2 years in a row. This guy has suffered.
He said Dustin said no, not really. He's just a badass to the playing time. I'll just say this.
I'd like to see Hardy on the field a little bit more. Why not?
Shit, I lost my train.
He'll be a special teamer. I think that's why they signed him, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, but they gave him a substantial amount of money.
It's okay, dude.
Didn't they give him how much money was that contract? Was that Chris Williams?
For who?
For Hardy.
Daniel Hardy contract. Let's see, what did he sign here? He has a 2-year, $4.97 million deal that includes a $2.4 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
2.4 is guaranteed and a $1.2 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
Plus performance escalators, allowing his contract to reach almost $6 million.
Yeah,
if he's actually playing defense and getting, I'm sure.
I'll let you guys address this comment, because I know Sean and Jason were thinking the same thing. I couldn't believe the Bears didn't sign Mason Rieger as an undrafted free agent.
I would have taken either or, and I would have loved Mason Rieger from Hoffman Estates High School. That's for goddamn sure.
I was humble. I honestly, you guys, after the draft, I'm like, there's no doubt that Mason Rieger is going to be Chicago Bear. No doubt about it. I was almost 100% certain he was going to be Chicago Bear. They didn't.
I had my hopes high for the Josh Brutes, but didn't get past the invite. So,
you know what? We'll see what they got, because when it comes to some of these free agent signings, we've talked about them here on this show a few times. They might have found a couple guys, and who was it? I can't remember.
Jaden Loving is a badass dude.
Who did? Was it Vandenberg that Zach Pearson said was popping? I know he was drafted, but didn't he say he looks really good? He's kind of popping it.
Yeah, he was more or less talking about his traits. He's like, dude, he just is a mammoth of a human being. He's just a big dude. He did say the first thing that jumps out of the page. Unfortunately for Keyshawn Elliott, he missed practice today. He's dealing with some injury, but he did say the first thing that jumped out at him when he was still watching Elliott was his speed, and that's we were talking about.
He said his IQ.
Yeah, we were talking about Dennis Allen earlier, guys. We failed to mention, maybe it's not they're not your favorite players in the world, guys, but the Bears definitely got more athletic. Got more. Every player on their defense is like a top 10 RAS score. Like every single one of them, dude.
You know this.
Vanderberg is a 10, a perfect 10. You can't get any
number
better.
one. Yeah, he's number one.
You know this. You know how much I love Keyshawn Elliott coming into this. I'm ready.
You guys know
I'm
I love him. Sean, I love Zach Pearson. I'm so glad he got him on the show, and he's just a great dude. But
yeah,
he did say this year he thinks it's going to be more of a special teams year for Keyshawn Elliott. If they deal with any injury at all, he's going
to get starting time. Yep.
I think Keyshawn Elliott is probably going to play a bigger role than people think. I like that kid a lot, man. There's actually nothing about him I don't like. There's nothing about
I'm with you, man. I think the Bears got a steal, and I think he was undervalued in this draft, and he's going to show out.
Those three late defenders, I think, were all steals.
I got Keyshawn Elliott as like our Kyle Manung guy, man. I think he's gonna be, maybe not. Obviously, he's not gonna play that much, but I think it's some.
Well, wouldn't it be Vanderberg? Because Vanderberg was in the 7th.
Well, he was the 6th, but I'm just saying like that impact. Like I'm not saying he's gonna play as much Manung guy, obviously, because he's running back, and the linebacker room is really crowded here. The running back room is not, but. I'm telling you, if they deal with an injury at all and Keyshawn Elliott could find his way into the field, I think he's pleasantly going to surprise Bears fans. They're going to love him. I think they're going to love him.
Absolutely. There's a few mysteries on this, and man, I'm still pulling for Roshan, man, to show up and show out and show that ability to at least be a rotational.
John, you are going to die on that hill.
I'm going to die on that hill.
100%.
And you know
whether it goes good or bad, I know for a fact you're going to die on that hill.
I'm going to re-put out the article I wrote last year. That's called The Conundrum Known as Roshan Johnson. I'm going to bring it back to the world
Wasn't it the curious
2026.
case of Roshan Johnson?
Oh, the curious case. Thank you. Yes, the curious case of Roshan Johnson. He's a
Jason
conundrum for sure. I fucking love that kid, and I'm pulling for him to have some success on the 26 Chicago Bears. You know, they're gonna need somebody. They're gonna need somebody.
I'm all, dude, Sean. If he was like just above average, like if they're like, oh shit, this guy's actually not bad. Like I'd be ecstatic.
You remember though,
he doesn't have to be Bijan Robinson.
You remember whenever used him as a goal line back, dude? He was very effective.
He was 5 for 6.
Yeah,
no, he was 5 for 5. He was 5 for 5.
And then you look at last year. He had his one carry he had last year. It went for what? 5 yards, 6 yards.
Yeah, and he carried like 2 guys on his back. The problem with Roshan Johnson is the same conversation we're having about Kyler Gordon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
On the field, man.
Concussions are his issue. He's got a head problem. So, yeah, I hope so, man. I really do. There's nothing wrong with Britton Brown. I've had a Bears crush on Roshan Johnson, and you know he's here, and he was a drafted player in the 4th round. I'd like to see him get some value out of that draft pick.
Dustin and Bruce are quasi 49ers fans. Dustin, how do you feel about those Brennan Ayuk comments, dude? I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen
Ayuk. It's like
Antonio Brown, bro. He's like Antonio. He's going insane. I think he's going to go on Instagram and make a video where you're calling your coaching and GM, coach GM, a bunch of. I mean, I'm not even going to say. It's insane.
No, what did he say? Just say it. I want to know.
It's insane, dude. Yeah. It's insane. Some colorful language for sure, but like, not only are you obviously ruining your chance to play for San Fran, which was not going to happen anyway, because we all talked about John Lynch already said you're not going to be on this team next year, but you're burning bridges all around the league, man. These owners and GMs are all friends, man. They're all buddies.
Yeah, but they're not going to want a player who's going to – you don't want to bring in a player that's going to criticize the ownership. Just like you don't go into like a job interview, be like, your company sucks. So you're gonna
like, I want to work here. The money looks good, but you're a piece of shit. I know that's not going to get you a lot of jobs. I don't know, man. I couldn't believe it. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the Instagram video, check it out, man. Brennan Ayuk is a giant piece of shit. Just a giant piece of shit, dude. And the Niners need to do whatever they can to get that guy out of the building as soon as they possibly can.
You say those things and you make those comments, save it for when you're retired. You know what I mean? My time in San Fran wasn't good. I didn't like the coaching staff, or I didn't like the front office, whatever it is. You save that stuff for later.
At least wait until you
come in and cause problems in the locker room. They're not going to want that.
Yeah, at least say it when you've signed your next contract, right? Like, I'm already I got a job. Sure. Yeah, I got a job. Like, I'm good. I'm going to destroy these guys. But, dude, it's bad, man. I've watched football for 35 years. I've never seen anything like that. The only thing I could even compare to it is Antonio Brown taking his shirt off and walking off the field in the middle of a Buccaneers game. That's the only thing I can even compare to it. But it's bad, man. If you haven't seen it, Jason, check it out after the show. I was like, I'm reading it. Like, I read an article about it, and they're basically saying what he's reading. You're reading what he said. I was in awe. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is disgusting. He is a giant piece of shit. And
that's why
he did all that.
That's why he'll end up in Dallas, because Dallas loves giant turds.
He did all that bitching for that contract, complaining, whining. I'm not going to play. I'm not showing up to OTA. He gets his contract, and this is the way he responds. And then he asked for more money.
Yeah,
you're insane.
That's our guy. Hey, and by the way, everybody, really quick, on the way out the door, the fat piece of shit has said today that he is open to having a emergency session to vote in.
So did the House. They're all agreed to it. It's happening.
And guess what? Like I said on Monday, it was significant but not definite. The Bears don't have a site in Indiana. The NFL doesn't want. All you need is 9 votes, and the Bears can't move to Indiana to begin with. And if you were listening to Mike Florio on the Score today, he pretty much said he believes those 9 votes will happen, and the NFL will not allow them to go to Indiana. Indiana's not happening. I still believe that.
You guys know what it's going to end up being, and Sean, you and I both said that it's going to be a publicly owned stadium in Arlington Heights. So they're void of all property taxes because it's publicly owned. The Bears are still going to own a majority of it, and they're going to own all the property around the stadium. But it's going to be a publicly owned stadium in Arlington Heights. That's what I've been saying since day one. I think it's still. I understand what you guys. What I think it's only 12 teams in the NFL own their stadium, right? 12, 11, 12, something like that. I understand why the Bears wanted it. I totally and completely understand because then you get 100% of everything. Every cent of revenue goes directly in your pockets. But the state of Illinois is not going to let them do that. They're not going to let them do it. They want their piece of the pie, man.
They also want to get reelected in November, though. So,
yep, they want the Bears to stay here because they don't want to be the guys who. Oh, wasn't that Pritzker office when the Bears exodus stay in the shittiest state in the United States to America's armpit, Indiana?
West Virginia.
Jason, do you ever watch Jim Gaffigan?
Hey, oh yeah, I've seen all the specials.
His original Comedy Central presents. He's like, every state's got their thing. He's like, we're from New York and we're tough. We're from Texas. We like things big. We're from Indiana and we're gonna move.
You know why birds don't fly over Indiana? There's nothing we're shitting on.
Dude, I'm sorry. Even if you guys have you guys seen the Hammond site?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it? I mean, it looks like a shithole. I'm sorry. I'm not even saying that because this is like making a case for the argument that they should stay in Illinois. I'm saying that like sincerely believe that is a shithole. Like why how that location ever even got involved in the conversation. First it was, you guys remember in the early 2000s or late 90s, it was Gary. Like, Bears, what are you doing? The Bears are like, hey guys, where's the shittiest location in your state? Do you guys have available space?
Gary's like the only other place here. And by the way, there's Dave Swirsky, he's the guy that does the Bears parody songs. He goes through the history of Bears stadiums, and the Bears have actually done this a couple of times. They've toyed with buying Arlington Heights a couple of times. They've also toyed with going to Gary and Hammond a couple of times. It's a very, very, really good historic rundown. He has, in my opinion, an okay Bears accent, but it's actually not too bad of a video to watch on, I think it was just posted 2 or 3 days ago, on the whole history of it all. And it's actually, the parallels are really, really, really crazy. And I think, Sean, we talked about this last night. If you look at Minnesota Stadium, they made a statement. We're going here, and it was like they had parades and everything.
Arden, Minnesota.
We're staying in Minnesota.
Yep, it was Arden, and they had an open concept, an open stadium, no more dome, and all these great things are happening, and blah blah blah. And then they're like, we're going back to Minneapolis.
Oh, and the other thing too is you cannot discount. I was under, and I think I falsely reported last year or whatever, 2 years ago when this all happened, but Soldier Field lost its historical landmark status. So they can tear that whole building down.
Did it really?
Yes.
Did it really?
It is no longer a historical landmark. They can tear the entire stadium down.
I did not know that.
Yep. So I personally believe Chicago might still be in play, but again, that would only be a publicly owned stadium. So my biggest thing is this. The Bears are actually closer to a stadium in Illinois than they are in Indiana. There's no plans or even a site really officially picked out in Indiana.
Right.
And honestly, you don't go spend $200 million on a piece of property just because you want to buy it. Just to sit on it. They're paying taxes on this every year. The last 3 or 4 years, and they haven't done anything.
Yeah, and not to call you out because I know you're just throwing out a number, but it was $198 million to buy the property, and then it was $125 million to knock down the track. And they're they're $350 million into this project. I can't imagine that they're just this quick to be like, you know what, let's go to Indiana. I think it's a negotiating tactic. I do think this, though. I said this last week, Sean. I think the longer that they play this game and the more Indiana offers them, we'll give you a stadium for $1. And in 40 years we promise to build you a new one. I do think it becomes more intriguing, more appetizing. Would you disagree with that?
Yeah, but the NFL has to approve the actual deal. There's more to it. They haven't approved this. By the way, the taxpayers haven't approved. They've approved the bill, but they haven't approved the stadium or a tax plan for it yet. So all these taxes, imagine if you're from Indiana, you're from Indianapolis, you're not even a Bears fan, and you got to pay taxes for the Bears to build a stadium. There's going to be a lot more problems in Indiana than people think. I'm just saying.
I also think that ultimately McCaskey doesn't want to move, and he's going to do everything in his power.
I don't think anybody in that building wants to, except for maybe Kevin Warren. I don't think anybody in that building wants to move. And James, you're right, you can, but they're probably going to sell it in pieces, so it's going to take a long time. Right. I don't think they're going to sell.
They'll make their money back hand over fist with developers.
Well, especially since the United States government just stopped all these major, like China and all these other different people these
data
people,
centers.
Yeah, these people who own, like those companies that own massive properties all around the United States. He stopped that. It's now they can't do it anymore. They can't just buy properties and rent them out to people anymore. It's supposed to be for the people who live in the area. So they're going to have to sell that property by piece by piece. I don't know what else we would put there, unless somebody else plans on building a stadium there. But they're going to deal with the same bullshit that the Bears are dealing with.
You know what's going to go there? The home of the Chicago Bears and Chicago Bears Disneyland. That's exactly what's going to go there. And we're going to be tailgating at Bruce's house, Rich's house, Ben's house. No more paying for parking.
Yeah, it came from China.
Yeah.
Why are you calling it the Chinese virus?
Oh, boys. All right, boys, let's put a bow on this thing. I got to get up and get ready for my day tomorrow, unfortunately. Jason's off for the rest of the week.
Oh, wow. I see.
I'm right there with you, Sean, except for we worked opposite schedules. But
yeah,
I'm literally driving to work when Sean's I'm like on the phone with Sean. I'm like, man, I'm about to start my 13-hour shift. Sean's like, man, I'm about to end my 8. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, what you call it, man. I've been getting to work early though. I've been cracking that whip, dude. Been getting into the office at 6:30 in my newfound position with broken feet that can't do what I used to do. But nonetheless, boys, we will be back tomorrow with Jason, or not Jason, Brandon and Dustin. Jesus, I can't think of it. I'm tired, man. I'm hitting my wall here. With the bare minimum, probably 10:30. I don't know.
Look, I don't know how many times I have to tell you. It's too late for me to watch. I don't know how you expect me to watch.
I know. You know what? I start my drive at 5:55 in the morning. It takes me about 40 minutes to get there, so I listen to the first half on the way there. And then it's like an hour and 10 minutes to get home at 59. So I listen to the second half on the way home. We got to get those views up for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I think I could do that.
Don't forget this Saturday, Cubs and I, Kyle and I will be dissecting this wonderful Cubs season that we're watching because it just keeps getting better every day. Are they winning? I haven't even looked today.
Mikey said that Sean's Indian name walks with broken. That's the best. Walks with
I'll take it. I'm gonna get a shirt. That's gonna go on the back of the shirt, Mikey.
That's awesome. Yeah, Jerry, thanks for joining the show today, man. Appreciate it. I don't know if you just changed your name or if you haven't been here before, but we appreciate you being here, man. Plank, James, Mike.
Thanks, everybody.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Who am I missing, guys? Help me out here. You guys are sorry. Ron.
Yeah. All the usual suspects were in today. It was great. Good show.
Ron, who's gonna
Paul Rodriguez, Romy,
Tom Brady rookie card.
Yo, Boyle Laro, thanks for joining the show, man. Appreciate it.
That was pretty live today, man.
Planks in the house, True Pilgrims in the house. Everybody, thank you. Erica was here early, shitting all over the Cubs. Nice job, Erica. Keep it up. Keep that hate up. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. You guys take care of each other so you could take care of yourself so you can take care of each other. Sean, good luck at work tomorrow. Jason, enjoy your vacation. Bruce, boom. Got that for you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Love you, boys.
Until we meet again, my friends. Peace and love. And bear down. You know what? We're gonna go. We got.
You haven't done it in a while, man.
Which one should we go with? I don't even know.
You feel better.
Let me see.
I say the chant with Caleb. Fuck Green Bay.
Where is that one?
Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay!
Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Fuck Green Bay! Yes, sir!
You know, he feels like a king right there. He's like, they'll say whatever I say. The masses.
Just for shits and giggles. Oh, I
Nice.
love that. I love that, man. He might be the next person to have a statue erected for him in the city if he keeps on this track, dude. That's for sure.
Especially if he wins the Super Bowl.
I gotta get like a mini one for my house.
Yeah,
A mini
right?
Ben Johnson statue for my house.
Until next time, everybody, we love you.
Love
Thanks
ya.
for showing up and showing out. Appreciate you. Bear down, everybody. Stay dry.
Bear
Stay
down.
safe out there. The weather is crazy right now, so stay dry. Stay
Tornado
safe.
warnings.